Tomtron, here for your entertainment on Tomtron.
Good evening and welcome, everybody, to episode number 2 of Opto Explains It All. Pretty excited. I'm very excited about the topic tonight. It's going to be very visually stimulating. I feel like once we start getting into the YouTube videos and like the footage and stuff, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're covering space and aeronautics. And for you YouTubers who are seeing this for the first time, I got to put this disclaimer in there. I am not a professional in any of this. We are learning together as we go. So if I miss anything, definitely send in stuff to help us further our knowledge. Nothing yet. I think the first episode went really well. We covered the Dark Ages. We had a really good time. We made a bunch of jokes. It was awesome. It definitely was a good first step in the right direction. I think episode 2 is going to be good yet. Not a pro yet. Well, I mean, like, we're going to be covering... I can't be a professional in every topic. You know what I mean? I feel like it's implied, but also, like, last week, or for the first episode, this was supposed to be the pilot episode because puns, pilot, space and aeronautics... That was going to be the whole pilot thing, and I actually did a lot of research on tonight's episode before deciding to go the Dark Ages route. It just seemed like pretty close to last minute. That was a really fun one for us to all dive into together, and I had a lot of fun because that was stuff that I was very curious on, and I think that's the goal, is to keep picking topics each week that we're all invested in learning about because we don't know a whole lot about it, right? What is going on, everybody? Welcome on in, Sayabon Action Hero, Sugar Bun, Cinca, Shoddy, Fantasy. I love you guys. Thank you all for being here. Seriously. It means a lot to me that anybody would want to hang out with me, let alone listen to me talk for 3 hours. So it does. It means a lot to me. And this is really fun for me. So I appreciate you guys being here, and I'm excited to chop it up with you guys for a minute and see what you guys have going on in your lives. If anybody wants to talk about it, you know, any good news, anything you guys want shouted out for the YouTube channels. Me personally, it's been a really good week. It's been a really good week, but it's been a really draining week. A lot of self-discovery this week, and you know, just learning different things about like mental illness and how to cope and how to you know, how to progress and get better. So really good stuff. A lot of really good, heartwarming stuff. Even here, I'll admit something, but right before I hit live, I thought I was gonna throw up. And I usually don't get stage fright at all, ever. But, like, I literally felt like I was going to throw up right as they hit the go live button. I was, like, pacing around the house and shit. So it happens. It happens to everybody, you know. Anxiety, depression, especially with all the crazy shit going on in the world right now and all the people being affected. It's crazy times. So I am glad that we can all converge here in a positive and safe space in the name of knowledge and, you know, furthering our own brain stimulation. It's going to be a lot of fun. You don't got to worry about us. We're all robots anyway. Well, I mean, dude, oh my God. We're going to do a whole episode on mental illness. I suck at stuff. So we've just been going with the most votes for topics from the one vote that I did, and so we did the most voted, and now we're doing the second most voted, and I need to start putting out votes week to week and letting everybody vote on topics. But there hasn't been a whole lot of chit chat or chatter or feedback or anything like that, and I get it. People are busy. We're trying to, like, our Discord is popping sometimes, and then sometimes it's just kind of quiet for a little bit. If anybody here is not in our Discord and wants to be a part of that, we are breathing some new life into it. We got some new channels and stuff. It's a lot of fun, a lot of very awesome people, and several other communities that are just as wonderful to be a part of. So you're all right. If you need any info about ADHD, I did a deep dive into it. I mean, absolutely. Send me a note or something, a DM or something, so we can come back to that later. That would be really cool. If once we do the mental illness episode, maybe we can have some people that want to come out and share their own experiences and talk about, kind of how they cope and deal with things. I think that'd be fantastic. I want to get to the point where, we have other people that are involved in these episodes and stuff. Like that was my goal from the beginning. I just know how hard it is to get people together, it's tough. It's tough sometimes, everybody is super busy all the time, I am constantly trying to figure out how to better schedule stuff because I'm terrible at being organized, and I'm working on it. We're getting better. I started like 4 minutes late today. It was like 3 or 4 minutes, so I was a little bit late, but I was still pretty close to being on time. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and jump right on in. To get ready, I went ahead and I queued up a couple of screens with some questions and stuff, and we can kind of jump right in. So, space and aeronautics. I want to start with the birth of flight, when the first crazy-ass human being decided that they were going to take off the ground. The first manned flight was on November 21st, 1783. So what's the math on that? 120. Damn. Oh, wait, 1783, not 1883. That's like over 200 years ago, man. What? 200 and... It's like 220 years? Jeez. So the first man... Okay. The passengers were Jean-Francois Pilatre de Rozier. I can't pronounce... Rosier. Rosier. I like Rosier. We're going to go with that. And Francois Laurent. They both had the name Francois. 1783. George Cayley worked to discover a way that man could fly. He designed many different versions of gliders that use the movements of body control. That looks like some straight up like Batman shit right there. Hold on, we need a better... I just want a bigger picture of it. I don't want that. I just want a bigger picture. How about, can we just open image in new tab? Oh my goodness. All right. Let's just see what NASA's got going on. Oh, I already had it pulled up. Hopefully there'll be some bigger pictures for us to look at. Okay. Myths and legends of flight. So Pegasus. I don't know why myths and legends of flight are, I guess throughout history, notable figures, mythical figures that were their flight, early efforts of flight. Around 400 BC China, the discovery of the kite that could fly in the air by the Chinese started humans thinking about flying. Kites were used by the Chinese in religious ceremonies. They built many colorful kites for fun. Also, more sophisticated kites were used to test weather conditions. Kites have been important in the invention of flight as they were the forerunner to balloons and gliders. Okay, so I mean that is an interesting bit of history. So I mean they've been talking about flight and like actually had some contraptions that were capable of flight, like the kite, way back in 400 BC. So for many centuries, humans have tried to fly just like the birds. Wings made of feathers or lightweight wood would be attached to arms to test their ability to fly. The results were often disastrous. Yeah, such as the muscles of the human arms are not like birds and cannot move with the strength of a bird. Yeah, you have to remember that birds, their weight compared to their arms, you know what I mean? And they're not like beefy, if the muscle mass matched the amount of like calories and shit they were burning, they'd be like jacked, right? So fast forward. The ancient Greek engineer, Hero of Alexandria, worked with air pressure and steam to create sources. Yeah, they even have hollow bones and stuff. I totally forgot about that. They do. They absolutely have hollow bones. So they don't weigh as much. The Hero of Alexandria, he worked with air pressure and steam to create sources of power. So the birth of steampunk, is that what we're talking about here? One experiment that he developed was the aeoli pile, which used jets of steam to create rotary motion. See, that's pretty badass. Hero mounted a, that reminds me of like an RX-7 motor, the rotary engine, where like it's on its side, it like spins around. That shit's cool. Anyway, the Hero mounted a sphere on top of a water kettle. A fire below the kettle turned the water into steam, and the gas traveled through pipes to the sphere. Two L-shaped tubes on opposite sides of the sphere allowed gas to escape, which gave a thrust to the sphere that caused it to rotate. And then in 1485, Leonardo da Vinci invented the ornithopter. Leonardo da Vinci made the first real studies of flight in the 1480s. He had over 100 drawings that illustrated his theories on flight. The ornithopter flying machine was never actually created. It was a design that Leonardo da Vinci created to show how man could fly. The modern day helicopter is based on this concept, which is crazy to think about, because helicopters usually have 4 blades that spin around in a circle, you know, and then it's up, down, and then tilt forward, tilt back, tilt left, tilt right, right? It's a good Magic the Gathering card. So yeah, it's super cool to see how like that was what gave inspiration to the helicopter. They were like, how can we have a small enough body to hold a person, but also generate enough force, enough controllable force to fly. And I think that's awesome. In 1783, so now we're like almost like 300 years in the future, Joseph and Jacques Montgolfier, the first hot air balloon. The brothers, so interesting because like everybody knows about the Wright brothers, but we're starting off with another couple of brothers here in the invention of the hot air balloon, which is crazy. What is almost as crazy as this nerd trip draws in my chat. What's up, nerd? How are you doing? I hope that you were doing well today. How was your day off? I hope it was fantastic. Just like you. We're over here learning about hot air balloons. So the brothers, Joseph Michel and Jacques Etienne Montgolfier, were inventors of the first hot air balloon. They used the smoke from a fire to blow hot air into a silk bag. The silk bag was attached to a basket. The hot air then rose and allowed the balloon to be lighter than air. In 1783, the first passengers in the colorful balloon were a sheep, a rooster, and a duck. Okay. There's, what? But why though? A sheep, a rooster, like, that just sounds like, okay, well, this is some shit we got lying around. Like, we're just, what do you guys want to put in the basket? I don't know, man. Maybe something that weighs comparable to a human. So something that's, you know, 200 pounds, just to see if the weight can be supported, maybe. And no, they were like, we're just going to throw a sheep, a sheep, a rooster, and a duck in there. Because why not? It climbed to a height of about 6,000 feet and traveled more than a mile. And then the rooster, the sheep, and the duck were never heard from again. That's the end of them. That's the end of their story. I really would like to know what happened to this rooster, this sheep, and the duck. After the first success, the brothers began to send men up in balloons, that hopefully to go find the sheep and the duck and the rooster. The first manned flight was on November 21st, 1783. The passengers were Francois Pilatre de Rosier and Francois Laurent. We're going almost another 20 years, 1799 to 1850s. George Cayley. George Cayley worked to discover a way that man could fly. He designed many different versions of gliders that used the movements of the body to control. A young boy whose name is not known was the first to fly one of these gliders. Over 50 years, he made improvements to the gliders. He changed the shape of the wings so that the air would flow over the wings correctly. He designed a tail for the gliders to help the stability. He tried a biplane design to add strength to the glider. He also recognized that there would be a need for power if the flight was to be in air for a long time. And then, so here's this. Looks kind of like a flying squirrel a little bit. Yeah, see, that looks like a little bit like a flying squirrel. Let me see if I can just... Oh, dope. We totally can. Oh, we'll just zoom it into 200%. That'd be so much easier. So yeah, look, dude, it looks like a flying squirrel. So that was like the first glider, which is cool. Man, they died. I know, dude. The sheep, the rooster, and the duck. What a sad end. Like, what was going through their mind when they hit 6,000 feet? That's what they said. They climbed to approximately 6,000 feet. So once they got up to 6,000 feet, like, I mean, I'll let your imaginations fill in the blank. Some poor farmer ended up with a couple extra animals at some point. But yeah, this thing looks like Kaylee wrote on aerial navigation, which shows that a fixed wing aircraft with a power system for propulsion and a tail to assist it in control of the airplane would be the best way to allow man to fly. So something that would carry the weight, so it's catching enough of the wind to keep whatever weight up, and then the tail was used to steer left and right, essentially, and would keep you going the direction you wanted to. Someone needs to get wrecked at golf. Yeah, we absolutely do. I'd be down to play some golf tonight, Trip. That is, if you're nerd enough. German engineer Otto Lilienthal. Hey, I actually said that name right. Studied aerodynamics. Okay, no. Here, let me. Okay, 19th and 20th century efforts. So we're fast forwarding a little bit again. We're in 1891, and this is Otto Lilienthal, which I really like that last name because I can pronounce it. He was a German engineer. Otto Lilienthal studied aerodynamics and worked to design a glider that would fly. He was the first person to design a glider that could fly a person and was able to fly long distances. He was fascinated by the idea of flight. Based on his studies of birds and how they flew, he wrote a book on aerodynamics that was published in 1889, and his text was used by the Wright brothers as the basis for their designs. After more than 2,500 flights, he was killed when he lost control because of a sudden strong wind and crashed into the ground. Wow, though. You're the first person to, like, look at this thing. It looks like it's like some Batman shit. That is straight up like a Batman cape, and that's how he flies. 2,500 flights. This dude, I have to give a round of applause, because if you asked me to guess how many flights the first dude to invent a glider went on before, like, the untimely end, 2,500 is a big number. You know? Like, that dude was doing multiple a day. Hello. I'm down. I don't think multiplayer is happening because Dan hates you. What? Why does Dan hate you? He can't hate you. I'll ask him. He'll do it. Kushter. Hello. Hello, dear. How are you doing? I miss your face. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. How have you been? My Kool-Aid jammer is now empty, so we have to move on to water. I think Dan will be down. And if not Dan, then Dirkwing. Or both of them nerds. Waiting on Doug to get home with dinner. I'm fantastic, dude. It's been a really draining week, but it's been a really, like, good week. I think we're priming up for, like, a really good week next week. It's gonna be awesome. I'm excited. but I think we've had some crud going around this week. I feel a lot better than I did yesterday. I've been sick for like the last few days. Now Fantasy is sick, and I feel bad because I'm sure she got it from me, and the kiddo is with grandma tonight. So we gotta. I know I did it. I told her that too. I said, I'm so sorry, and she just looked at me and she's like, why are you apologizing? I was like, because I feel bad I got you sick. Stupid retail. Because like for the last 2 weeks, everybody coming into the store has been sniffling and stuff, and it's like, you don't need to be here, but I can't tell you no. So it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm at the end of it. I'm at the end of it. I think I'll be 100% the next day or two. What's Doug bringing home for dinner? Hopefully something good. I probably when we started chatting, I should have come to the just chatting screen. I'm still learning. I'm still learning. And I do have a chat up on screen. I probably need a chat up on screen over here. What's the source for that? Hold on. We're going to make this happen. Chat 2. Let us... So this way people can see the chat while we're going. Awkward silences. This is for the YouTube people. Haha. It's just gigantic and doesn't need to be that big. There we go. How's that look? That's professional AF. He started his new job this week and is so tired. I feel that. Oh, what up, John Paul O'Keefe? JPK, what's up, dude? You love awkward silences? It's only when there's technical problems. The awkward silences are always either OBS or audio problems faults. Because then you're just like, oh, I'm trying to fix it quick, but I can't talk and I can't juggle and chew bubble gum at the same time. Learning new things, relearning old things. Dude, yeah. I mean, do you remember any of your classes in school? I really don't. That's not a weed joke. That's just I don't remember a whole lot of anything. I remember that my English teacher was a jerk, and so like I tried extra hard in English just to kind of rub it in her face a little bit. And now, as an adult, I unironically mess up grammar all the time. But when I'm typing stuff out, it looks... Wait, people went to class? I mean, I did. Not all the time. And not for a long time. You're a cheat sheet kind of guy? The Scarlet Letter! Wait, what? See, and like the books that everybody... I don't know what generation that I was in. Like the books that we had to read were not the same books that anybody else had to read. At least not until I got to high school and got to drama class. You know, we didn't have any of like the Judy Blume stuff or anything like that. It was weird. Dan Fantasticals. Good morning to you, sir. We'd be driving. Wait, hold on. All these awesome people are coming back in, so we're going back to the just chatting screen for a little bit. Almost to Neo's moms. Be careful while you're driving. Hopefully you're using talk to text. Please don't text while you're driving. Safety first, then teamwork. Those are the rules around here. You're a cheat sheet kind of guy. I don't think I ever had that much faith in my classmates to cheat off of anybody. You know? We didn't really have like the smart kids in our class. It was kind of a toss up. There was a good chance that we were all gonna get C's. So, anyways, for you guys just now coming in, we are getting hot and heavy into the world of engineering. The first aircrafts. You had a girl cheat off of me once. Never again. Never again. Oh, I keep forgetting I got this too. Next time I have technical difficulties, remind me I have a Wii button. Oh. I forgot I have a beep button. We have another dog in the house? Oh my goodness. Your mom found a dog in her backyard, and so you brought her home until you can find her owners? What kind of dog is it? And that is super nice of you, and I really hope that you guys find the owners. I never went to my classes. It's got to be from in the neighborhood somewhere, right? You guys live in suburbs. I'm assuming, right? You guys live in a neighborhood. Ironically, I never went to classes but knew all the classwork because it helped my friends understand their work. Oh, right on. I'll post her in Discord. Do it. Miscellaneous animals. We need a new channel in the Discord for miscellaneous animals. All right, I'm gonna see if this works. I want to see if this works. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Oh, that feels nice. Hello.
I like that one.
Hello.
Have you guys seen my dog?
Okay.
Wow.
You're gonna go eat with him. You'll be lurking. All right. Well, that's probably my cue to get back to the learningness. The learnedness. Ironically, I never went to. Oh yeah, I already read that. Hey, dude, I'm doing such a good job of keeping up with chat tonight. I just want to stop everything that we're doing and say that I'm proud of that. I'm keeping up with everything, and that feels good. When in doubt, just announce everything you're doing. I'm looking for the button. All right. So yeah, that was Lilienthal's glider in flight. Straight up looks 10 out of 10. What else do we have? This is a good one. I like this one. Prepare yourselves. I'll turn it. Saibon Action Hero. Your name made me think of that one. Anyway, so beyond Lilienthal's glider in flight, 1891. So now we are same year. Okay. Samuel Langley was an astronomer, so dude spent most of his time looking at stars, who realized that power was needed to help man fly. He built a model of a plane which he called an aerodrome. That is the most metal thing I've ever, like, why is there not a band named Aerodrome? Or like a horror movie or something, Aerodrome, that included a steam-powered engine. That's some steampunk shit. There could be like a steampunk movie called Aerodrome. In 1891, his model flew for three-fourths of a mile before running out of fuel. Langley received a $50,000 grant to build a full-size, I don't know why I couldn't say that, full-sized aerodrome. It was too heavy to fly, and it crashed. He was very disappointed. He just $50,000 spent on new aerodrome. It crashed. He was very disappointed. He gave up trying to fly. His major contributions to flight involved attempts to adding a power plant to a glider. He was also well known as the director of the Smithsonian Institute in Washington D.C. That is like that is so like relatable, and damn, dude, damn, Langley. He was like, I have a dream to fly. And then he crashed a $50,000 vehicle, which in 1891, I'm going to guess 50,000 was probably a lot of money. He was very disappointed. Oh, man. Dude. But I mean, look at that thing. I just can't imagine even in 1891 like looking at this design right here, like the colored picture one right here. That looks solid. That looks like, I don't know, like one of the airplanes that you would, like paper airplane you would build and use a rubber band to like launch it or something. That looks feasible. Whatever this picture is, it looks like a mosquito with a tag on, like a price tag on the back. Exactly $1,588,510.99 today. That's how much they believed in this dude's design. He was the director of the Smithsonian Institute in Washington D.C., which I'm assuming you have to be of some prestige to obtain that job and that title. Because everybody knows the Smithsonian, but good God, that is so much money. But I mean, hey, back then the government was probably like, if we can do this and make flight possible, like what are the they're probably thinking of all the words that I'm trying to think of right now. They were thinking of that. Like everything you could do with it, from trade, you know, to shipping of goods, from just getting people from one place to another faster. So like I get it. It was a worthy endeavor to dump that amount of money into, but oh man, that design just looks dangerous as hell. All right, so we're gonna fast forward another 3 year weaponizing it. Yeah, there you go. Dan, you know. Dan, you know. It looks like a dragonfly. That's crazy. So fast forward another 3 years to 1894. Octave Chanute. Is that Chanute or Chanute? Octave Chanute. Octave published Progress in Flying Machines in 1894. Gathered and analyzed all the technical knowledge that he could find about aviation accomplishments. It included all of the world's aviation pioneers. The Wright brothers used this book as a basis for much of their experiments. Chanute. Hate old people and their fucking names, man. Margaret, what should we name our child? He needs a strong name. He's a Chanute. Why don't we name him Octave? Anyway. It included all the world's aviation pioneers. The Wright brothers used this book as a basis for much of their experience. Chanute was also in contact with the Wright brothers themselves and often commented on their technical progress. Orville and Wilbur Wright and the first airplane. Here we go. See, this is where I started reading in on my research a while back. Orville and Wilbur Wright. Wilbur! I couldn't help myself, man. They were very deliberate in their quest for flight. Yes, these dudes didn't hide it. Now again, we have another pair of brothers, so I don't know if that's just coincidence, or maybe something about brothers doing like something that changes history together or something. It's super crazy, because the other two brothers, they invented hot air balloons. And then like that they would both be in the field of flight. Kind of crazy to think about. A little one of those woo kind of moments there. So anyway, First, they read about all the early developments of flight, and they decided to make a small contribution to the study of flight control by twisting their wings in flight. Then they began to test their ideas with a kite. They learned about how the wind would help the flight and how it could affect the surfaces once up in the air. The next step was to test the shapes of the gliders, much like George Cayley did when he was testing the many different shapes that would fly. They then spent 3 years testing and learning about how gliders could be controlled at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Here's a drawing of one of the first gliders. Now, again, they got something in the back here that, like, kind of flaps and directs left, right, all that stuff. They designed and used a wind tunnel to test the shapes of the wings and the tails of the gliders. In 1902, with a perfected glider shape. Now, this is 1902. So it looks like 1894 is when the Wright brothers started taking a notice and all this stuff, but it wasn't until 1900 that they actually started, like, developing what would become the first airplane. They designed and used the wind tunnel, and they turned their attention on how to create a propulsion system that would create the thrust needed to fly. So they were trying to figure out how they could go from a standstill position and get enough speed to achieve flight off the ground. The early engine that was designed generated almost 12 horsepower. Now, I've seen boats with 12 horsepower engines. That's 12 horses, okay? We're talking, if 12 horses were pulling at the same time, that's how much power this engine has. Which is actually kind of crazy, because that's like 120 years ago. That's the same power as a two-handed propelled lawnmower. Okay, so there you go. Like a lawnmower today is how much power they were trying to put onto a flying craft that would carry a human being. This is a picture of an actual 12 horsepower engine used in flight. Look at that thing. It looks like a phone, like two phones put together. I don't know. It's weird looking. The flyer lifted from the level ground to the north of Big Kill Devil Hill. What a name. I need a note. We need to research Big Kill Devil Hill later. Hold on. I actually have something for this. I have some post-it notes that are on like a little magnet strip that I keep over here by my desk. This is something I want to remind myself to make these notes and save this for later. So, give me a pen. Big Kill Devil Hill. I want to find out why the hell it's called Big Kill Devil Hill. So that was in North Carolina at 10:35 a.m. on December 17th, 1903. Orville piloted the plane, which weighed about 600 pounds. Now, just as kind of like a side thing right there, I wonder how that conversation went down. Was that like, do I get to pilot it first, or you get to pilot it first? Or was that like, I think that you would be better suited. You're probably, like Wilbur was like, you're a little bit more well-equipped. I think your skills are probably better at this. Or do you think it was just like, I don't know, he drew the shortest straw or something. The first heavier than air flight traveled 120 feet in 12 seconds. So, trying to imagine what 100, or like a bet, yeah, or like neither one of them wanted to go first. I didn't think about that dimension of it. Wow. Yeah, like one of us might die doing this, so like which one of us has to go first? But then again, I don't think like that, because I'm sure they've tested so much stuff that was sketchy and they could have potentially killed them. So I don't know. I think if their constitutions were that weak, that they'd be like, no, you go first. I'm scared. Like, they probably wouldn't have invented the airplane. I want to say these dudes were both like, if we die, whatever. We're either gonna figure this out or we're gonna go out doing something awesome. Maybe he weighed less. That is also, again, I think I would have thrown that into like, you're more well equipped. Like, it would probably be, the flight would go better if you went type deal. You're like really, it's like an honest and true, like I think your skills are just better, and I think that this is going to go smoother if you're a better pilot, you weigh less, whatever, you know. So it went 120 feet in 12 seconds. So they were cruising. The two brothers took turns flying that day, with the fourth and last flight covering 850 feet in 59 seconds, but the flyer was unstable and very hard to control. The brothers returned to Dayton, Ohio, where they worked for more than 2 years perfecting their design. Finally, on October 5th, 1905. So they've been doing this for 5 years at this point. They have just been putting like this, they're devoting their lives to this. Wilbur piloted the Flyer 3 for 3 minutes, 39 minutes, and about 24 miles of circles around Huffman Prairie. He flew the first practical airplane until it ran out of gas. Humankind was now able to fly. During the next century, many new airplanes and engines were developed to help transport. Okay, so that was it on the Wright brothers, on the history of flight. We're gonna dig into the Wright brothers a little bit, and I'm hoping there's some YouTube somethings in here, because I want to see some of these flights in action, actually. Orville and Wilbur Wright, and so their lives. Oh wow. Okay, so it looks like Wilbur like died early. Orville Wright was alive from August 19th, 1871 to January 30th, 1948. And Wilbur Wright was around from April 16th, 1867 to May 30th, 1912. So I mean, that was shortly after they got done inventing the airplane. Together known as the Wright brothers, were American aviation pioneers, generally credited with inventing, building, and flying the world's first successful motor-operated airplane. They made the first controlled sustained flight of a powered heavier than air aircraft with the Wright Flyer on December 17th, 1903. So that's the like what they're calling the pinnacle. Like that's the day it went down. And that was south of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. We just talked about that. Also is known as Kill Devil Hills. Wait, what did I write down? Big Kill Devil Hill. They don't have the big in there, all right? The other one said big. The brothers were also the first to invent aircraft controls that made fixed-wing power flight possible. 1904, 1905, they developed their flying machine to make longer running and more aerodynamic flights with the Wright Flyer 2, followed by the first truly practical fixed-wing aircraft, the Wright Flyer 3. We did hear about that too. That last article we read, by the way, was from NASA's website. That was like a NASA article that they had posted about the history of flight. If anybody's wanting sources for that, or want to dig in a little bit more on their own, because I did close that tab. Now we are into the Wright brothers Wikipedia here. Where did we go? Brothers' breakthrough was their creation of a 3-axis control system. And it looks like the flight dynamics is the science of air vehicle orientation and control in 3 dimensions. The 3 critical flight dynamics parameters are the angles of rotation in 3 dimensions about the vehicle's center of gravity, known as pitch, roll, and yaw. So I recognize those as like computer terms when you're like making an image move on your computer. So I do understand pitch, roll, yaw. Even playing countless flight games, If you had said that in a flight context, I think I would have a loose understanding of it, but not a great. In relation to how the center of the vehicle's gravity works, absolutely not. I don't understand. But it does say it's one of the three critical flight dynamics parameters. So I'm guessing there's like a triangle graph of what it takes to make airplane go in air. Which enabled the pilot to steer the aircraft effectively and to maintain its equilibrium. I know that word. That's a movie with Christian Bale in it, and it looks kind of like The Matrix. This method remains standard on fixed-wing aircraft of all kinds. From the beginning of their aeronautical work, Wilbur and Orville focused on developing a reliable method of pilot control as the key to solving the flying problem. The approach differed significantly from other experiments at the time who put more emphasis on developing powerful engines. So everybody else at the time, what they're saying is everybody else at the time was like convinced the only way to make this possible and the only way to make flight possible is to put a big enough engine on it, baby. We got to put a big enough engine on it to where it's got enough power to push it up into the air. And the Wright brothers figured out that maybe that's not necessarily the best call. Like, we need an engine that is powerful enough to push it up into there, but more of it's that once it's up there, that the wind and air kind of carry it most of the way. So again, using a small home-built wind tunnel, the Wrights also collected more accurate data than any before, enabling them to design more efficient wings and propellers. Their first U.S. patent did not claim invention of a flying machine, but rather a system of aerodynamic control that manipulated a flying machine's surfaces. So that's cool too. So when it came down to the patent too, they were like, no, we're not going to say that we invented the plane itself. We're going to say that we invented the system of aerodynamic control. We invented the system that keeps flying stuff up there flying. And I think that's pretty cool, because like they could have been dicks about it, and they weren't. They were like, this is a great idea. We want other people to be able to build on this foundation. We just want to be credited with designing the system. And so I think that's admirable. That's pretty awesome. The brothers gained the mechanical skills essential to their success by working for years in their Dayton, Ohio-based shop with printing presses, bicycles, motors, and other machinery. The work with bicycles in particular influenced their belief that an unstable vehicle such as a flying machine could be controlled and balanced with practice. This was a trend, as many other aviation pioneers were also dedicated cyclists and involved in the bicycle business in various ways. From 1900 until their first powered flights in 1903, the brothers conducted extensive glider tests that also developed their skills as pilots. So I wonder if they were, using the gliders invented by the other guy almost 200 years before. What was that, Jacques Francois? I have a bad memory. I cannot remember names. We could do the same episode again next week, and I'd be like, holy shit, they did what? Like, I don't remember this. They invented wizards? What? I never knew. So that's cool. That is actually cool, because that just ties into like the history of flight, right? Hey, what's up, Watch Friends? How are you doing? It has been a long time. Their shop mechanic, Charles Taylor, became an important part of them, building their first airplane engine in close collaboration with the brothers, so he helped them build the first engine. The Wright brothers' status as inventors of the airplane has been subject to counterclaims by various parties. Much controversy persists over the many competing claims of early aviators. Edward Roach, historian for the Dayton Aviation Heritage National Historical Park, argues that they were excellent self-taught engineers who could run a small company, but they did not have the business skills or temperament to dominate the growing aviation industry. Well, I mean, that's true. I'm sure long throughout history there have been many instances where a great idea, you know, wasn't made by somebody who was business savvy. But, you know, they still got the credit for creating the system, and I think that's awesome. I feel like they got what they wanted. It doesn't talk about his... Hold on. I kind of want to scroll through a little bit, because like I said, one of them lived to 1948. The other one died in 1912. So, I'm kind of curious what happened. Ideas about control, flight, stored flight, gliders. 1902. Wow, this is really, if you guys get a chance, this is really cool, because this goes through like a year-by-year account of like everything that the Wright brothers were into. Contracts return from Kitty Hawk, public showing, family thoughts, patent war. Okay, so the lawsuits began. Ooh, okay. I don't know if I want to get into the lawsuit side of it, because I'm more, well, this is more focused on flight and stuff. Really just want to see more cool. Let's see if we can find some of those videos. Here we go. Wilbur. Later years. This will be good though. Both Wilbur and Orville were lifelong bachelors. Wilbert once quipped that he did not have time for both a wife and an airplane. Following a brief training flight he gave to a German pilot in Berlin in June 1911, Wilbur never flew again. He gradually became occupied with business matters for the Wright Company and dealing with different lawsuits. Upon dealing with the patent lawsuits, which had put a great strain on both brothers, Wilbert had written in a letter to a French friend, "When we think of what we might have accomplished if we had been able to devote this time to experiments, we feel very sad. But it is always easier to deal with things than with men, and no one can direct his life entirely as he would choose. Oh, to deal with things in him. So so he's just saying that, like, he doesn't, I don't really like dealing with people. I'd rather just keep to my invention. So I'm gonna guess that Wilbert was pretty introverted. He was a very you think that to yourself all the time? I mean, it'd be like that for some people. Sometimes you don't think it's gonna be like that, but it do. Wilbert spent the next year before his death traveling. Here we go. Where he spent a full 6 months in Europe attending to various business and legal matters. Wilbert, I keep wanting to say Wilbert for some reason, like the ERT at the end. Wilbur urged American cities to emulate the European, particularly Parisian philosophy of apportioning generous public space near every important public building. He was also constantly back and forth between New York, Washington, and Dayton. All of the stresses were taking a toll on Wilbur physically. Orville would remark that he would come home white. It was decided by the family that a new and far grander house would be built using the money that the Wrights had earned through their inventions in business, called affectionately Hawthorne Hill. And Hawthorne Hill is in Oakwood, Ohio. It was the post-1914 home of Orville, Milton, and Catherine Wright. Wilbur and Orville Wright intended for it to be their joint home, but Wilbur died in 1912. Before the home's 1914 completion, the brothers hired the prominent Dayton architectural firm of Schneck and something. Schneck and something takes care of the house now, you know? Schneck and something. Schneck and Williams, there it is. They designed the house along with the input from both Wilbur and Orville. Wilbur did not live to see its completion in 1914. You know that house has the shit haunted out of it. Oh, man. Oh, God. And the fact that, like, he's such an important historical figure just makes it feel more eerie and, like, more haunted, I guess. You know? Like, the man had a great life. He left a great legacy, but, like, he died before his house was done being built. Oh, dude, you know it's fucking haunted. His ghost is running all over that place. Oh, man, that's crazy. He became ill on a business trip to Boston in April 1912. The illness is sometimes attributed to eating bad shellfish at a banquet. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful with shellfish. After returning to Dayton in early May 1912, worn down in mind and body, he fell ill again and was diagnosed with typhoid fever. He lingered on, his symptoms relapsing and remitting for many days. Wilbert died at age 45. At the Wright family phone. He didn't die at their phone. He died at their family home on May 30th. His father wrote about Wilbert in his diary. God, I called him Wilbert again. I don't know why. I just can't say it. I don't know. A short life. I'm just gonna call him Wilbert from now on. A short life, full of consequences, an unfailing intellect, imperturbably temper. This means you could not pass this man off. You could not piss this man off. I am gonna figure out how to talk. My life is covered in dog hair. I know that life. I too live that life. I made an iced coffee today, and I set it down on the counter where you should set your iced coffees. And the moment I returned to it, there was like 3 cat hairs coming right off of the straw. It just kind of, I died a little bit inside. Just keep calling him Wilbert. Own it. I'm doing it. His name is fucking Wilbert from now on. That's the name of my auto battery. 3 cat hairs on my straw. Or my life is covered in hair. No, that's the sequel. Oh yeah, the cat's got in the, yeah, they got in my coffee. You know. They're selfish, you know. Cats are just selfish. They're the most selfish animal I've ever met in my life. That was a true, genuine dry cough. I'm gonna take a sip of this now while I try to figure out where I left off. Imperturbably temper. Yeah, so you could not, this dude was like very hard to piss off is what they're saying. Great self-reliant, so the dude really didn't, he was not a people person. He kind of kept to himself his whole life, except for his brother. He was self-reliant and had great modesty, seeing the right clearly, pursuing it steadfastly. He lived and died. So they're saying he was an honorable man. He just didn't really care too much for people. Orville succeeded the presidency of the Wright Company upon Wilbur's death. He won prestigious Collier Trophy in 1914 for development of his automatic stabilizer on the brothers' Wright Model E. After 42 years living on their residence in 7 Hawthorne Street, Orville, Catherine, and their father Milton moved to Hawthorne Hill in spring 1914. Milton died in his sleep on April 3rd at the age of 88. Up until his death, Milton had been very active, preoccupied with breeding. Let's fast forward a little bit. Let's see if we can find some videos. Let's see if we can find some YouTube videos. Another. I'm not hydrated enough, man. I love it. I have a selfish chihuahua that could help you see the light. Oh, man. Chihuahuas, they're so brave. That's all I'm going to say. They're so brave. They're the bravest animals I've ever met. YouTube.com. Let's look for the Wright brothers. What's been the Wright brothers? All right. Let's see what we got here. The story of the Wright brothers. This is from CBS Sunday Morning 7 years ago. So giving out the credits to CBS.
They lived in the same house.
And whatever this advertisement is on YouTube.
Joint bank account. Even thought together, Wilbur said.
Oh, okay. Hold on. That was part of the video. I thought it was an advertisement.
They lived in the same house, worked together 6 days a week, kept their money in a joint bank account, even thought together, Wilbur said.
That's Wilbur Wright, born in 1867. His brother Orville was 4 years younger. And as every school child learns, the Dayton, Ohio...
They're aggressive as they are aggressive as fuck, and they do not care.
Successfully pilot an engine-powered airplane.
See, that looks so much nicer than the earlier, like the gliders and stuff that we saw earlier.
Succeed.
But though their plane is proudly displayed at the Smithsonian's Air and Space Museum in Washington,
So they had to lay
historian
down
David
on it.
McCullough still believes the Wright brothers are underappreciated.
Every time
Nothing holding them in, no seatbelt, just
airplane
up there. 2,500 flights.
cannot be overemphasized.
Is there no sound?
So, in a new book published by CBS's Simon & Schuster, McCullough,
I see the audio.
2 Pulitzer Prizes, 2 National Book Awards, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom, wants to reintroduce Americans to the Wright brothers and present someone else. There's a
I
Wright
love Batman.
sister.
Yes, her name was Catherine, and she was something. She stood about 5'1", and she was a powerhouse. This whole porch they built, the brothers
This
built
whole gingerbread
themselves.
effect,
Yep,
huh?
it's exactly what...
The 3 siblings lived in this house, now preserved at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan. Their father, Milton, was a clergyman. Their mother, Susan, died of tuberculosis in 1889. 2 older siblings left home to start their own families.
The house had no running water, no indoor plumbing, no electricity, no telephone, but it did have books, lots of books.
Wilbur was planning to go to Yale.
Didn't have doors,
when an
didn't have
accident
floors,
changed
didn't have
everything.
stairs, it didn't
He was
have
hit in
roof,
the teeth
but
with
it
a
had
hockey
books.
stick playing hockey when he was about 18 and knocked out all his upper front teeth. And he retreated from the world, not going out to do much of anything ever for 3 years.
Imagine losing a bunch of
He
teeth
ended up
before
opening
dentists.
a bicycle shop with his brother in 1893. They even designed and hand-built their own brand of bike.
If you were coming in to buy a bicycle from the Wright brothers, you'd come in this door and you'd come over here, and
on, is this
Wilbur
video?
or Orville would wait on you.
All right, I
But in
think we
their
got
spare
some.
time,
we got
the
some
brothers
pictures and stuff
became
coming.
obsessed with the idea of another form of transportation, flying, reading
dude,
everything
look,
they
it's
could
freaking
find about
Batman.
previous experiments.
That's badass.
What was the
I would
public
just want
view
one of
of
those.
flying at
I
this
wa- I
point?
want
Was
one.
it considered
It's
a possibility?
impossible. Human beings can't fly, won't fly, ever fly.
Still, the Wrights started building flying machines right in their bicycle shop.
The wonder is that they did everything, not just themselves, but did it here and did it so well.
Starting in 1900, with Catherine managing things at home, the brothers would ship their contraptions to the gusty, isolated dunes.
That thing
of
is headed
Kitty Hawk,
directly
North
face
Carolina.
down into the
There's such a
ground.
wealth of material
They
here.
caught that picture right
And
before it
the wealth of
crashed.
material is also representative of their really serious interest in photography.
Their photo collection is now
Wonder
kept
how that guy
at their
relates to
namesake
them.
Wright State University in Dayton.
Wilbur and Orville.
It shows how they started with gliders, which
Because
often
they're very
crashed.
odd names.
Finally, designing a biplane with an ultralight engine hand-built by one of their shop assistants. Success came on December 17th, 1903.
That's really cool.
This is probably, as we say, the money shot.
Yes, that's one of the most
The
famous
money
pictures
shot.
in history. And
She's
there's
not
Wilbur
right. She's
running
not
at
wrong.
the side, and Orville's taking off for the first time in
Oh,
all of
man.
history
She's a
to
freak.
fly, and he's only going to fly 120 feet, and he's only going to be in the air 12 seconds. But they knew immediately after this was over that they could do it, and they were onto something.
And that's where the story stops for most of us. But here, in a cow pasture on the outskirts of Dayton, is where David McCullough says the Wright brothers really invented the art of aviation,
That's where it
testing
went down.
larger and more powerful planes.
Fly
They
figure
learned
eights,
to do
everything.
figure eights,
You guys
all
think
of
the
that.
ground looks
Land
kind
and
of soft
take
out
off.
there?
Meanwhile, the
if
federal
you were just, like, to
government was
fall down in the
spending
grass.
$70,000,
It's kinda like
a
soft.
fortune in those days, on this
And the
so-called
third brother no one talks
aerodrome,
about, Templeton.
crashed in the Potomac on takeoff. And no one in Washington seemed to care about what the Wright brothers were accomplishing on their own dime.
What happened when they wrote and tried to get the federal government involved?
They were turned down. In fact, they had the door slammed in their face.
So they were turned
But the
down at
French,
first.
obsessed with aviation, took notice. In August
Think it, no, it's at
1908,
least 182,
huge
right?
crowds gathered to watch Wilbur Wright take to the air over the town of Lamont.
They went wild.
Dude. Thank you. Hold on. No, we need production value. Dude, Sayabon, thank you so much. Who got it? Who is the lucky one? PQ. PQ is a very deserving person. I forgot my capo was on, so I'll have to improvise. Sayabon action hero, thanks for the gift surprise, yeah. Thanks for the tier 1 gifts, sub to PQRDG. Folks saying she's a freak cause she is, yeah. You know she likes to get down. She knows about the money shot, of course she does. She's a freak, she gets down. And she's on the news too. She's on the news. She got a very, she's oh man. I am dead. That's my favorite one. I really like that one a lot. I like that one. I like this one too. I just got to keep remembering to use it.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
There we go.
And he was a hero.
She doesn't care who knows it. She's like, that's
And
what
the
we like to
federal
call the
government
money
finally
shot.
says, aha, when they see that other nations, particularly France, are interested in this
exactly.
contraption.
They woke up. They finally realized, oh, maybe we ought to take a look.
So the government didn't
So
want anything to do
Orville
with
is
it until France
commissioned
was
to
like,
show this
hey.
stuff in a series
Flying,
of flights at Fort Myer outside Washington. He is breaking all sorts of speed
loud,
and
she's
endurance
proud.
records when on
She's trying to get
September
her freak on.
17th, 1908, he is assigned to take up a U.S. Army lieutenant named Thomas Selfridge.
They went up, and Orville crashed, and young Selfridge was killed.
Oof.
And
All
he's
right,
the
so first fatality
fatality
from
of a passenger in an airplane ever.
Orville is badly hurt, but nursed back to health by his sister Catherine.
She saw how terribly damaged he was, emotionally, physically. To her, it would be a miracle if he ever walked again, let alone flew an airplane again.
Orville Wright would
That dude's
indeed fly again, and
face.
Catherine would go up too. The Wright brothers, who never married, became national
Why is it
heroes.
like all historians? That's like a historian thing where like you just want to tell you some facts
Wilbur
about
died of typhoid in
early
1912
1900s. I
at
have to make
age
sure I shake my face a
45.
little bit so you know I'm serious.
Orville would live until 1948, often accepting honors for what he and his brother accomplished. Their lives a symbol of the power of imagination.
What a testimony to human determination and ingenuity it is.
I mean, really, it
Profoundly,
very much is. That's
profoundly American
amazing.
story.
We've sent people to the moon, and it all started with these dudes. Well, it started with the dudes that made the hot air balloon, technically, but all right. That was cool. That was a cool video. Thank you CBS, and thank you CBS Sunday Morning for posting that to your YouTube channel. It was very informative. David McCullough had a really good time talking about it, I'm sure. I'm gonna leave this tab open. I think we should check out commercial air flight now and see like when the first commercial flight happened. Tony Jannus conducted the United States' first scheduled commercial airline flight on January 1940. Holy so that was like soon. That was like Wilbur had just died. Not only did this man die before his house was done being built, he died right before the first commercial airline flight, too. Wow. Coincidence? Are we thinking conspiracy now? Because I'm kind of thinking conspiracy now. He was murdered. No, I don't know. I don't know if he's murdered. But the fact that he was an introvert, he didn't really trust people or hang out with people. Hindenburg? Oh yeah. You know what? The blimp? That actually, you're right. You're right. When was Hindenburg? Open new tab, because I'm a savage. Hindenburg. Hindenburg flight was the millionaire's flight of the Hindenburg was a 10.5 hour cruise over New York, England on October 9th, 1936 for 72 wealthy and influential passengers. So that was way afterwards. That was 1936, yeah. Yeah, so Hindenburg was way later. We had 747s here already. So let's look at the airline. Let's look at the airline Wikipedia and so what's going on with this. The beginnings. The first airlines. The DLAG. The Deutsche Luftschifffahrt. It's a real word. It's a real word. The Luftschifffahrt. DLAG Deutsche Luftschifffahrt. Aktiengesellschaft, the Aktiengesellschaft. Ooh, that was the first one. There were more than one. Was the world's first airline. It was founded on 16th November 1909. Okay, so the airline itself was founded before the first commercial airline. So like, I guess after the Wright brothers did their thing, they were planning this. This was like already a thing. They were like, we're going to do this. We're going to have people up in the air in the next 10 years. And so they started prepping for it. With government assistance and operated airships manufactured by the Zeppelin Corporation. We're going to find out about those dudes. The Zeppelin, the Hindenburg is what we were just talking about a second ago. That's not until 1936, though. If headquarters were in Frankfurt, the first fixed Wing scheduled airline was started on 1st January 1914 from St. Petersburg, Florida to Tampa, Florida, operated by the St. Petersburg Tampa Airboat Line, the 4th oldest non-dirigible, I don't know what that word is. Yatesen, what's my gender? I go by he, him. I think I have that in my bio, but thank you for asking. Welcome on in. St. Petersburg Tampa Airboat Line, the 4 oldest non-dirigible airlines. This is a list of airlines by foundation date, founded before December 31st, 1930. So there were 4 airlines for like 30 years, and that still exist are the Netherlands KLM 1919, Colombia's Avionica, Australia's Qantas. Am I saying that right? Qantas Airways Limited. And the Czech Republic's Czech Airlines. So those are the 4 oldest airlines in existence. And it looks like that's from 1919, 1921 to 2 years later. Australia was like, fuck yeah, airplanes. And then the Czech Republic followed right behind them in 1923, which is super cool and interesting. I would not think that it would be the Czech Republic. Hey, what's up, Chibi Demon? How are you doing? Welcome on in. Long time. I hope that you've been doing very well. The earliest fixed-wing airline in Europe was Aircraft Transport and Travel, formed by George Holt Thomas in 1916. Fixed-wing airline, but wait, that's 1916, and we just saw... This article was the one that told us just a second ago that it was like 1914 when the first commercial flight took place. I guess maybe they still hadn't opened it up to the public. They were just trying to like get it ready. Oldest airline was built in hell. Sick and now I have a fever. Aw, dude, I'm sorry you're not feeling well. The oldest airline was built in hell. Wow. Jeez, everyone is sick. Dude, it is going around. And what's weird is like I've tested for COVID and it's not COVID, so like I don't know what it is. Maybe just the right, and it's not the flu because I'm not really like feverish, so I don't know what it is. This shit's rough though. The Aircraft Transport and Travel was a British airline formed during the First World War, a subsidiary of Airco. It was the first airline to operate a regular international station, formed by George Holt Thomas. 1916 via a series of takeovers and mergers. This company is an ancestor of modern-day British Airways. Oh, cool. So I recognize that. I know what British Airways is. Using a fleet of former military Airco DH.4 biplanes that had been modified to carry 2 passengers in the fuselage. It operated relief flights between Folkestone and Ghent. On 15th July 1919, the company flew a proving flight across the English Channel, despite a lack of support from the British government, flown by Lieutenant Shaw in an Airco DH-9 between Rath, Hendon, and Paris. The Le Bourget Airport. It's a bad case of milk lung. Ugh. I have upper respiratory illness and bronchitis. Oh, dude, that sucks. Bronchitis is the worst. I've had bronchitis once. Never again, oh, never again. The stretching is just to show off my sweaty armpits because it's hot in here. I'm sorry. It's hot. And I apologize. But I had to stretch. A promise was made, and a promise was kept. The flight took 2 hours and 30 minutes at 21 euros per passenger. I wonder how much 21 euros was in July 1919. That's some rich people money. On the 25th of August 1919, the company used DH.16s to pioneer a regular service from Hounslow Heath Aerodrome to Le Bourget, the first regular international service in the world. The airline soon gained a reputation for reliability despite problems with bad weather and began to attract European competition. November 1919, it won the first British Civil Airmail contract. 6 Royal Air Force Airco DH-9 aircraft were lent to the company to operate the airmail service between Hawkinge and Cologne. In 1920, they were returned to the Royal Air Force. That's kind of cool. So the first international mail system was started using military equipment. So that is kind of a cool little side fact. It's getting hot. It really is. It is very much so getting hot in here. And I'm out of water. So in a second, I'm going to have to go get some more. Tight lats, bro. All right. So other British competitors were quick to follow. Handley Page Transport was established in 1919. Also used the company's converted wartime type 0400 bombers with a capacity for 12 passengers to run a London-Paris passenger service. So that's cool. So yeah, French airline, German airline, Dutch airline. The Dutch airline KLM made its first flight in 1920 and is the oldest continuously operating airline in the world. Established by aviator Albert Plesman. Holy shit, that looks like Uncle Fester. Was a Dutch pioneer in aviation and the first administrator and later director of the KLM, the oldest airline in the world still operating under its original name. Until his death, he was in charge as CEO for over 35 years and was also on the board of the Dutch airline. That is, oh wow, that dude is spooky looking. Like, ugh, just shivers. It was immediately awarded a royal predicate from Queen Wilhelmina. Queen Wilhelmina was the Queen of the Netherlands from 1890 until her abdication in 1948. She reigned for nearly 58 years, longer than any Dutch monarch. Her reign saw both World War I and World War II, as well as the Dutch economic crisis of 1933. So Wilhelmina was around for quite a while. Its first flight was from Croydon Airport, London to Amsterdam using a leased aircraft transport and travel DH-16, carrying 2 British journalists and a number of newspapers in 1921. KLM started scheduled services. Okay, then Finland, Soviet Union, rationalization, expansion. Here's where I'm kind of curious. So in the expansion, we'll skip because that's like the fun stuff. Expansion. 1926, Alan Cobham surveyed a flight route from the UK to Cape Town, South Africa, following this up with another proving flight to Melbourne, Australia. Other routes to British India and the Far East were also charted and demonstrated at this time. Regular services to Cairo and Basra began in 1927 and were extended to Karachi in 1929. The London, Australia service was inaugurated in 1932 with the Handley Page HB-42 airliners. Further services were opened up to Calcutta, Rangoon, Singapore, Brisbane, and Hong Kong passengers. That's super cool to think about. If any of you guys are anime nerds and you guys like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, like I'm immediately thinking like season 2 right here with young Joseph, because even watching that anime, because it's set in like the same time period, I'm thinking like, how are they like just in that time period? How are they flying from country to country? You know. So, like, yeah, a lot of the aircraft and stuff was specifically for military use back then. And they were just like, all right, well, you know, like, we can, on the side, we'll just, like, do some commercial flights and stuff. So that's really interesting. Or, like, thinking about, you know, like, Indiana Jones and stuff. And, like, even then, they were still using, like, biplanes to, as commercial flight type stuff. And I think that was in the 40s, right? In the early 40s?
Nice car.
Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. United States early development. I think we've read enough about commercial airlines. I kind of want to see like where space flight started. What time is it? 7:26. Yeah. I think it's about time for that. So let's wiki. Time to go into space. And before we do that, because all of my bottles of water are empty, I'm going to go get a drink real quick. Cereal, again, welcome on in. Thank you again for the follow. I appreciate that. I am going to grab a drink real quick. So enjoy this Be Right Back screen. It's pretty dope. And also JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. That was not the Be Right Back. I hit the wrong button. I'm sorry. I'm back. And I got a Kool-Aid jammer that doesn't have a straw. Shit. Well, I got one that does have a straw too, so we're good. We're good. Crisis averted. Do I know how to do harmonics on your Tanuki again? Not consistently, no. Not consistently. Sometimes if you copy paste emotes, they don't work right. Your capture card finally fit. I told you, man. I think it was a Windows update that was just like it was a Windows update that was messing with your drivers, and so your drivers weren't acting properly. Oh, the JoJo song? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I want to learn how to play that. I just got to sit down and do it. Sad stuff to go with the sad riff. Everything's so sad. That's why I want to talk about race to the stars above. Talking about space and rockets and flying through the atmosphere like an astronaut. Try to stay awake during exit. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Cybon. I appreciate the 69 biddies. Nice. All right. On April 12th, 1961, the USSR opened the era of crewed spaceflight with the flight of the first cosmonaut, Russian name for space travelers, Yuri Gagarin. Gagarin's flight, part of the Soviet Vostok space exploration program, took 108 minutes and consisted of a single orbit of the Earth. In 108 minutes! Think about that. 24 hours in a day. It takes, from here on the planet, it takes 24 hours for us to revolve one time. This dude, the first ever space flight, he went around the whole Earth in 108 minutes. That's an hour and 38 minutes. And I just did a math problem, and I feel confident that it was correct. All right, we're gonna look at the history of space flight. The history of space flight. I'm excited. All right, that's the space race background. History of space flight. Space flight began in the 20th century following not falling. Old man beard face. 1 hour, 48 minutes. Shit. You got it. You got me. You got me. I was wrong. I felt so confident too. 17,000 miles per hour. And the Titanic ticket appeared to cost 870 pounds. So, oof. That is pretty expensive. For what, like 300 passengers or something? So 300 times 870 or something comparable. Space flight began in the 20th century following theoretical and practical breakthroughs by Konstantin Tsiolkovsky which does he not get a pop-up? Konstantin Eduardovich Tsiolkovsky was a Russian and Soviet rocket scientist who pioneered astronautic theory, along with the Frenchman Robert Esnault Peltier, the Germans Hermann Oberth, Fritz von Opel, and American Robert H. Goddard. He is one of the first successful large-scale rocket programs were initiated in the 1920s, Germany by Fritz von Opel and Max Valier, and eventually in Nazi Germany by Werner von Braun. The Soviet Union took the lead in the post-war space race, launching the first satellite, the first man, and the first woman into orbit. The United States caught up with and then passed their Soviet rivals during the mid-60s, landing the first man on the moon in 1969. In the same period, France, the United Kingdom, Japan, and China were concurrently developing more limited launch capabilities. That's just meant to be in relation of how much you just said for the first flight. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Oh, I know Von Braun. Yeah. That Duschenheimer. Following the end of the space race, spaceflight has been characterized by greater international cooperation, cheaper access to low Earth orbit, and expansion of commercial ventures. Interplanetary probes have visited all the panels in the solar system, and humans have remained in orbit for long periods aboard space stations such as Mir and the ISS. Mir was a space station that operated in low Earth orbit from 1986 to 2001, operated by the Soviet Union and later by Russia. Mir was the first modular space station and was assembled in orbit from 1986 to 1996. They spent 10 years in space making this space station. It's no Death Star, but that is a space station, and that is cool, and it took 10 years to build. Did you imagine building a space station in space? You know, because it's like more effective to just bring the parts up there and do it out there than it is to build it on land. It had a greater mass than any previous spacecraft, so that's cool. And then the ISS is the International Space Station and is a modular space station in low Earth orbit. It is a multinational collaborative project involving 5 participating space agencies: NASA, Russia, Japan, and Europe, and Canada. The ownership... Good for them. Dude, that makes me happy. Dude, hell yeah. Canada is going to come up with our answer for space travel. I believe in you guys. Do it. Save the human race. The ownership and use of the space station is established. I'm sure it's some sort of like kind of how the UN operates, I'm sure. Most recently, China has emerged as a third nation with the capability to launch independent crewed missions, whilst operators in the commercial sector have developed reusable booster systems and craft launched from airborne platforms. In 2020, SpaceX, that's Elon Musk, is an American space manufacturer, provider of space transportation services, and communications corporation headquartered in Hawthorne, California. SpaceX was founded in 2002 by Elon Musk with the goal of reducing space transportation costs, which is super cool. The idea behind it was to commercialize space flight. So anybody, you don't have to go to like college or go through astronaut training. The idea was to make a 747 that exits the atmosphere that you could pay like $2,000 for a ticket to ride on. It became the first commercial operator to successfully launch a crewed mission to the International Space Station with Crew Dragon Demo 2, whose name varied depending on the organization. Crew Dragon Demo 2 was the first crew test flight for the Crew Dragon spacecraft. The spacecraft, named Endeavour, launched on 30th May 2020 on a Falcon 9 booster and carried NASA astronauts Douglas Hurley and Robert Behnken to the International Space Station, the first crewed orbital space something rather. But still, the fucking name is Crew Dragon Demo 2. Wow. All right, let's get back into the background of space travel and how we got up into the stars. The beginning of the 20th century, there was a burst of scientific investigation into interplanetary travel inspired by fiction writers such as Jules Verne, the author of From the Earth to the Moon, Around the Moon, and H.G. Wells' The First Men in the Moon and the War of the Worlds. H.G. Wells also wrote The Time Machine too. So just in that sci-fi, I don't know if you can build a time machine. I feel like you have the capability to fucking travel through space. It should just be a given. The first realistic proposal of spaceflight goes back to Konstantin Tsiolkovsky again. His most famous work. Izladovny Mirovik Prostranstv Rektvinimi Priborami, or the exploration of cosmos. It had in English the whole time. So there's three it's like the symbols, and then like how you pronounce the symbols, and then the exploration of space, cosmic space by means of reaction devices. Was published in 1903, but this theoretical work was not widely influential outside of Russia. Spaceflight became an engineering possibility in the work of Robert H. Goddard's publication in 1919 of his paper, A Method Reaching Extreme Altitudes. He was an American engineer, professor, physicist, and inventor who is credited with creating and building the world's first liquid-fueled rocket. That was in 1926. Think about how close of a time period that is. Like, in my lifetime, it blows my mind how close that 70s show was to the actual 70s. This is like that weird glider thing into a bicycle airplane or biplane into now 1926 we're creating rockets and ushering in the space race. How fast technology has grown, and those dudes did not have even a fraction of the technology that we have now. Think about back then, if those dudes had cell phones and could just be like, oh, I don't know what this math problem is, let me look it up real quick. Like, how much faster shit would have gone? Where would we be right now? It just blows my mind, dude. His application of the DeLaval nozzle to liquid fuel rockets gave sufficient power for interplanetary travel to become possible. This paper was highly influential on Hermann Oberth and Werner von Braun, later key players in spaceflight. Fritz von Opel was instrumental in popularizing rockets as a means of propulsion for vehicles. In the 1920s, he initiated, together with Max Valier, co-founder of the Verein für Raumschifffahrt, the world's first rocket program. Opel leading to speed records for automobiles, rail vehicles, and the first manned rocket-powered flight in September of 1929. You remember when that dropped into the atmosphere in 2001? Really? I don't remember that. Like, I feel like I remember, you know, Y2K and stuff, prepping for 2000. Like, I was 12. And so, like, I remember, like, everybody thinking Y2K was going to be a big deal, but I don't really remember a whole lot else around that time period until, I didn't actually have anything else to say after that, but I was getting really thirsty. So, Fritz von Opel was instrumental in popularizing rockets as a means of propulsion for a vehicle. Oh, we already did that. Leading to speed records for automobiles, rail vehicles, and the first manned rocket-powered flight in September of 1929. So yeah, 1929 was the first manned rocket-powered flight. So, like, dude, not even 15 years later, they were like, all right, we have bicycle plane. Okay, now we mass produce vehicles that can hold more than one person in the sky. And not even 15 years later, they're like, we're going to put a poussin? We're going to put a poussin on the moon. We're going to put a poussin on the moon. A person. We're going to put a person on the moon. Months earlier in 1928, one of his rocket-powered prototypes, the Opel Rack-2, reached piloted by von Opel himself at the AVUS Speedway in Berlin, a record speed of 238 kilometers, watched by 3,000 spectators and world media, among them Fritz Lang, director of Metropolis. Ooh, I do remember. I think I've seen Metropolis. I know what this is. So 1927 German expressionist science fiction drama, film directed by Fritz Lang and written by Thea von Harbo in collaboration. I've seen the animated adaptation that came out like around 2000, I think. I think it's probably based on the same shit. Like everything's kind of steampunky. There's an android with feelings, you know, intentionally written as treatment. It stars Gustav Froelich, Alfred Abdel, and Woman in the Moon, world boxing champ Max Schmeling. Max Schmeling, a Plessy to the moon. I want to say it was Taco Bell that put a big target in the ocean and they would give out a bunch of free tacos or something if the debris hit it. Really? That's super funny. Wow, I do not remember that. I didn't think Taco Bell was that cool back then. Damn. And I thought the 80s and 90s Taco Bell was all about being like the fun, cool party company, and then after that they were just like, we know you're gonna come get our chalupas. Like, we don't have to worry about advertising. When was the last time you seen the Taco Bell dog? That thing doesn't even exist anymore. Our mascot for 20 years, and we're just gonna cast it aside like it's nothing. I'm talking to you, Taco Bell. Ain't it, Taco Bell? Anyway, Max Schmeling. Maximilian Adolf Otto Siegfried Schmeling was a German boxer who was a heavyweight champion of the world between 1930 and 1932. His two fights with Joe Louis in 1936 and 1938 were worldwide culture events because of their national associations. And many more sports and show business celebrities. World record for rail vehicles was reached by Rack 3 and a top speed of 256 kilometers per hour. So yeah, again, just to put into reference, less than 15 years ago, they had to make a 12 horsepower engine to try and put a person in the sky. And now they have put a rocket onto a vehicle that exceeds speeds of 256 kilometers an hour. How fast? It's crazy, dude. After these successes, Von Opel piloted the world's first public rocket-powered flight using Opel Rack 1, a rocket plane designed by Julius Hatchery, who was a German aircraft designer and builder. World media reported on these efforts, including Universal Newsreel of the U.S., causing as Rocketen Rummel or Rocket Rumble immense global public excitement, and in particular in Germany, where inner Alia Werner von Braun was highly influenced. The Great Depression led to an end of the Opel Rack program, but Max Valier continued the efforts after switching from solid fuel to liquid fuel rockets. He died while testing and is considered the first fatality of the dawning space age. Woo! Yo quiero Taco Bell booms. Didn't he die like a decade ago? Who? The Chihuahua? It's been over a decade, dude. The Taco Bell dog hasn't been around since like at the very least the early 2000s, but I think probably the 90s. It's been a while. After analyzing and realizing the shortcomings of solid fuel rockets, Opel Rack became enthralled with liquid propellant propulsion, building and testing them in the late 1920s in Russelheim. So like they're doing all this stuff with fuel and figuring out like different fuel alternatives and like what we can do. They launched 2 liquid fuel rockets at Opel, Rennbaum, and Russelheim on April 10th and April 12th, 1929. These Opel Rack rockets have been the first European, and after Goddard's, the world's second liquid fueled rockets in history. In his book, Racketenfahrt, Valier describes the size of the rockets as of 21 centimeters in diameter, and with a missile rose so quickly that Sander lost sight of it. 2 days later, a second unit was ready to go. Sander tied a 4,000-meter long rope to the rocket. 4,000-meter long rope to the rocket. 4,000 meters of rope. That is a lot of rope. That's a lot of rope, guys. What if that big like roll of rope gets caught on itself or something and then it catches the rocket? Like, I'm just saying. Like even in the time, I'd be like, dude, we could tie a string to it so you can make it find it easier. Like, okay, well, how about 4,000 feet? Well, that's going to be some heavy-ass rope, dude, and eventually it's going to keep that rocket from coming down. Hey, you're late, but you're here. That's all that matters. Wouldn't the rope catch fire? That is also a good question. Let's see what it says. After 2,000 meters of rope, the rope had been after 2,000 rope had been unwound. So I guess after 2,000 meters, it made it halfway before the rope came undone. The line system for the aircraft, the line broke and his rocket also disappeared in the area, probably near the Opel Proving Ground and racetrack in Russellheim. The Renbahn, the main purpose of these tests was to develop the propulsion system for the aircraft for crossing the English Channel. So, like, they were doing this to try and get across the water. Also, spaceflight historian Frank H. Winter, curator at National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C., confirms the Opel group was working, in addition to their solid fuel rockets used for land speed records and the world's first manned rocket plane flights, on liquid fuel rockets, Spaceflight Volume 21 and 2, February 1979, and a cabled exclusive to the first man to thus fly across the English Channel. I will not rest until I have accomplished that. At a speech on the donation of Rack 2 replica on the Deutsches Museum, von Opel mentioned also Opel paternal apprehensions led him to believe that I was cut out for something better than being a rocket researchist. Scheberger supervised all the details. Scheberger's got it under control. Scheberger supervised all the details involved in the construction and assembly of rocket cars. And every time I sat behind the wheel with a few hundred pounds of explosives in my rear and made the first contact, I did so with a feeling of total security. Well, yeah, I mean, that much explosive underneath your tuchus. If something goes wrong, I mean, you don't have to worry about shit anymore after that. As early as 1928, Mr. Scheberger and I developed a liquid rocket, which was definitely the first permanently operating rocket in which the explosive was injected into the combustion chamber and simultaneously cooled using pumps. So they were cooling and igniting the fuel at the same time. This had not been done before. We used benzol. I mean, but isn't that how normal engines work? I guess maybe it hadn't been done with rocket fuel before, maybe. We used benzol in the fuel, von Opel continued, and nitrogen tetroxide as the oxidizer. I'm doing the best I can with some of these words, guys. Shit. This rocket was installed in the first permanently operating rocket in which the explosive was injected into the combustion chamber and simultaneously cooled using pumps. We used benzol as the fuel and nitrogen tetroxide as the oxidizer. The rocket was installed in a Mueller-Grisham aircraft and developed a thrust of 70 kilograms, so that's 154 pounds. By May 1929, the engine produced a thrust of 200 kilograms, which was 440 pounds, for longer than 15 minutes. And in July 1929, so that rocket's pushing 440 pounds of pressure for 15 minutes. This rocket could carry a 400-pound dude for 15 minutes straight. The Opel Rack collaborators were able to attain powered phases of more than 30 minutes for thrusts of 300 kilograms, which is 660 pounds. Holy shit. At Opel's works in Russellheim. Again, according to Max Vallier's account, the Great Depression brought an end to the Opel Rack activities. So the Great Depression shut down their rocket program, their rocket cars and stuff. Vallier's, who died while experimenting in 1930, and Sanders' work on liquid fuel rockets was confiscated by the German military. So now the military has taken over their research into rockets and stuff. Just imagine that, like, being in that time period. Like, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're just fucking shooting off some rockets? What? Not for the military, just for fun. Just for funsies. And integrated into the activities under General Walter Dornberger. So Walter took over that research and stuff in the mid-1930s in a field near Berlin. An amateur rocket group, the VFR, co-founded by Max Valier, included Werner von Braun, who eventually became the head of the Army Research Station that designed the V-2 rocket weapon for Nazis. Sander was arrested by Gestapo in 1935 when private rocket engineering became forbidden in Germany, was convicted of treason to 5 years in prison, and forced to sell his company. He died in 1938. So that's the end of That was the end of Sander. In 1929, the Slovene officer Herman Noordung was the first to imagine a complete space station in his book, The Problem of Space Travel. What a bold name. The Problem of Space Travel. The first rocket to reach space was a German V-2 rocket on a vertical testing flight in June 1944. After the war ended, the research and development branch of the British Ordnance Office organized Operation Backfire. Operation Backfire was a military scientific operation during and after the Second World War that was performed mainly by British staff. The operation was designed to completely evaluate the entire V-2 rocket assembly, interrogate German personnel specialized in all of that. So they were interrogating German prisoners on how to build V-2 rockets and stuff. So they're like, dude, you guys you're going to teach us what you know. Love me some Kool-Aid Jammers. In 1945, assembled enough. So once they got the information, they learned how to make the V-2 rockets. They made enough V-2 missiles and supporting components to enable the launch of 3, possibly 4, depending on the source consulted, of them from a site near Cuxhaven in northern Germany. Although these launches were inclined and the rockets didn't achieve the altitude necessary to be regarded as suborbital spaceflight. And for you noobs out there that don't know what suborbital spaceflight is, it's a spaceflight in which a spacecraft reaches outer space. Its trajectory intersects the atmosphere or surface of the gravitating body from which it was launched, so that it will not complete one orbital revolution or reach escape velocity. So it's not escaping. It's not going to complete a revolution around the Earth, but it's getting just far enough out there to be considered space flight. The backfire report remains the most extensive technical documentation of the rocket, including all support procedures, tailored vehicles, and fuel composition. Subsequently, the British Interplanetary Society proposed an enlarged man-carrying version of the V-2 called the Mega Rock. Again, we're just gonna start strapping people to some shit that probably don't need to strap people to. Let's see what happened with the Mega Rock. The plan, written in 1946, envisaged what a weird turn of phrase to put right there. Envisaged a 3-year development program culminating in the launch of test pilot Eric Brown on a suborbital mission in 1949. The decision by the Ministry of Supply under Attlee's government to concentrate on research into nuclear power generation and subsonic passenger jet aircraft. So like those stealth jets and stuff, I'm assuming something close to that. Well, I mean, that was in 1947 though. Over supersonic atmospheric flight and space flight delayed the introduction of both of the latter, although only by a year in the case of supersonic flight, as the data from the Miles M.M2 was handed to Bell Aircraft. The Miles M2 was a turbojet-powered supersonic research aircraft project. It just sounds like some Hot Wheels shit. Designed in the United Kingdom in the mid-1940s. In October 1943, Miles Aircraft was issued with a contract to produce the aircraft in accordance with Air Ministry specification E224-43. The program is highly ambitious. Yeah, hell yeah, I'd say it's ambitious. Again, this is the mid-1940s. So even, let's say 1947, we're still 30 years from the first commercial air flight. 30 years is a long time, but in like technology, holy shit, dude. Yeah, no big deal. No big deal. 1945, we have a turbojet powered supersonic research aircraft. In 1947, the U.S. sent up the first animals into space. Hopefully not a duck. What was it? It was a duck. A pig, and a rooster. Is that what it is? The former Nazi scientists helped from NASA. Is that Project Paperclip? In that project, that's what Project Paperclip is, I think. I would love to do an episode on that. Absolutely, I would love to. All that shit's so crazy. The espionage and all the spying back and forth, and like imagining that with no cell phones or like really any sort of digital communication. Whew. Brah. Fucking galaxy brains back then. Anyway. The U.S. sent up the first animals in space, although not into orbit. So they didn't send them actually out into space. It was a suborbital flight, which we were just talking about. And they used a V-2 rocket launched from White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico. The animals were fruit flies. Okay, cool. So they sent fruit flies up there. They didn't send farm animals. About 3 decades after the man-named Opal rack flights and a decade after the Mega Rock proposal, true orbital spaceflight, both uncrewed and crewed, was developed by the Soviet Union and the United States during the Cold War in a competition dubbed the Space Race. Here's where stuff starts getting kind of interesting. The first artificial satellite was Sputnik 1. The race began in 1957 when both the U.S. and the USSR made statements announcing they planned to launch artificial satellites during the 18-month-long International Geophysical Year. What is the International Geophysical Year, you ask? I'm glad you did, because it's an international scientific project that lasted from the 1st of July 1957 to the 31st of December 1958. So a year and a half. It marked the end of a long period during the Cold War when scientific interchange between East and West had been seriously interrupted. 67 countries participated. Holy shit, dude. Oh, man. Again, no digital like, I don't know, dude. It's so weird. I guess you got phones and stuff. You could still get a phone call. So I guess it was still easy to trade information that way. But like in espionage and stuff, you know, like how do you keep that a secret? I need you to dial 9741. Why? Because I've got pertinent information to the Cold War that I need to let them know secretly. You know, it had to be like very high stakes, like a lot of, I don't know, man. It's so crazy. And, like, I'm sure a lot of that's my brain just from, like, movies and TV. Like, oh, man, I bet that shit was crazy, you know? But, like, I bet it was fucking crazy. All right. The U.S. announced a planned launch of the Vanguard by the spring of 1958, and on July 31st, the USSR announced it would launch a satellite in the fall of 1957. On October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite of Earth in history of mankind. Sputnik 1 was the first artificial Earth satellite. It was launched into an elliptical low Earth orbit by the Soviet Union on 4th October 1957 as part of the Soviet space program. It orbited for 3 weeks before its batteries ran out. The satellite then silently continued to orbit the planet for 2 months. And then on November 3rd, 1957, so that's only 1 month. So I don't know. The Sputnik 2, they launched a month later. And the first to carry a living animal into orbit, a dog named Laika. Did we get a picture of Laika? No, there's no picture of the dog. Oh, fuck you guys. Come on, Wikipedia. What your deal is? It was a Soviet space dog who became one of the first animals in space and the first animal to orbit the Earth. Laika, a stray mongrel from the streets of Moscow. That's a dirty Wikipedia entry. Was selected to be the occupant of the Soviet spacecraft Sputnik 2 that was launched into low orbit on the 3rd of November 1957. Sputnik 3 was launched on May 15th, 1958, so now we're a year later launching the third satellite, and carried a large array of instruments for geophysical research and provided data on pressure and composition of the upper atmosphere, concentration of charged particles, photons and cosmic rays, heavy nuclei. Did I say I said that right? Ha ha ha. Former nuclei in cosmic rays, magnetic and electrostatic fields, and meteoric particles. After a series of failures with the program, the U.S. succeeded with Explorer 1. And Explorer 1 was the first satellite launched by the United States in 1958, and as part of the U.S. participation in the International Geophysical Year, the IGY. The mission followed the first 2 satellites the previous year, the Soviet Union Sputnik 1 and Sputnik 2. And the beginning of the Cold War space race began. Explorer 1 was the first U.S. satellite in space on February 1st, 1958. This carried scientific instrumentation and detected the theorized Van Allen radiation belt, which is a zone of energetically charged particles, most of which originate from the solar wind that are captured by and held around a planet by the planet's magnetosphere. Earth has 2 such belts, and sometimes others may be temporarily created. What in the... Oh, my brain just exploded. So apparently there are not just 1 belt, but 2 belts of radiation around the Earth. And at any time, another or more radiation belts also may occur that can be created by man. Can be created by man. Fucking blows my mind, dude. Shit. See, I lost my train of thought here. All right. After a series of failures with the program, the U.S. succeeded with... Oh, sorry, we already read... The U.S. public shock over Sputnik 1 became known as the Sputnik Crisis. And that was a period of public fear and anxiety in Western nations about the perceived technological gap between the United States and Soviet Union caused by the Soviets' launch of Sputnik 1. So everybody's freaking out because they thought, like, Russia, it was like now they had all the technology and they just, there was no stopping them. The crisis was a significant event. On July 29th, 1958, the U.S. Congress passed legislation turning the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, the NACA, into the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, which is NASA. NASA. With responsibility for the nation's civilian space programs, in 1959, NASA began Project Mercury. Ooh, I like projects. What was Project Mercury? It was the first human spaceflight program of the United States, running from 1958 through 1963, an early highlight of the space race. Its goal was to put a man into orbit and return him safely, ideally before the Soviet Union, taken over from the U.S. Air Force by the newly something, to launch a single man capsule into Earth's orbit and choose a core of 7 astronauts introduced as the Mercury 7. What a badass name. God. You got to give it to the American government. At the very least, sometimes they come up with some cool ass names. The Mercury 7. Look at them. They all look like some shit out of like an old Doctor Who episode. What in God's name? They look like undersea divers. That's some shit from Lost in Space. The Mercury 7 were the group of 7 astronauts selected to fly spacecraft for Project Mercury. They are also referred to as the Original 7 and Astronaut Group 1. Take that, Astronaut Group 2. You bitches. Their names were publicly announced by NASA on April 9th, 1959. These 7 original... Can we get a bigger picture of this? I want to see like a bigger picture of these guys. Can I just see the picture? There it is. Oh, Captain Kirk would be proud. That is so freaking cool. It really does look like... I mean, I would have guessed that like the original astronaut suits would look different, you know, than what they look now. But like, I did not expect this. This is very retro sci-fi. That's super cool. That's really cool. I like that. The Mercury 7. All right. We talked a little bit already about the first man in space, Yuri Gagarin. Ooh, we got a picture of him. Look at him. He looks so happy. What a good dude. Part of the Soviet Vostok space exploration program, took 108 minutes and consisted of 1 single orbit. August 7th, German German Titov, another Soviet cosmonaut, became the 2nd man in orbit during his Vostok 2 missions. 1963, the Union launched a total of 6 Vostok cosmonauts. So they're like, in 2 years, they've sent 6 people out into space, which, you know, in the 60s, that's pretty huge. That's like It's like a lot of people send out into space. Because I think how often we send out people into space now. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like that often. The first woman in space. Hell yeah, let's hear about this. The first woman in space was former civilian parachutist Valentina Tereskova. Oh, dude. She looks so tough. She was an engineer, member of the Russian State Duma, and former Soviet cosmonaut. She is known for being the first and youngest woman in space, having flown a solo mission on the Vostok 6 on 16th June 1963. So she flew in space by herself back then, too. That's crazy. Aboard the Soviet mission, the chief Soviet spacecraft designer, Sergei Korolev, was a lead Soviet rocket engineer and spacecraft designer during a space race between the United States and the Soviet Union in the 1950s and 1960s. He is regarded by many as the father of practical astronautics. He was involved in the development of the R-7. He conceived an idea to recruit a female cosmonaut corps and launch 2 women concurrently on Vostok 5-6. However, his plan was changed to launch a male first in Vostok 5, followed shortly afterwards by Tereskova. Then the first secretary of the Soviet Union, Nikita Khrushchev, spoke to Tereskova by radio during her flight. On November 3rd, 1963, Tereskova married fellow cosmonaut Andrei Nikolaev, who had previously flown on Vostok 3. On June 8th, 1964, she gave birth to their first child. Okay, so this is just more about them. Competition develops. I think we can skip ahead a little bit. All right, so like a bunch of big shit was going on. Everybody's booming. Everybody's trying to get everybody out into space and stuff. Like my Google Home is like going off for some reason. History of aviation. We already did that. All right, dude. I think it might be time to watch some videos. Let's finally get to some of this cool spacewalk stuff. I actually want to see space flight. Let's see some space flight. Ship completes cryogenic proof testing. Starship Boca Chica. Ship 24 repairs. Virgin Galaxy Unity 22 space flight. Virgin Galactic. Stunning new universe fly through reality puts things into perspective. Now watch Blue Origin launch Michael Strahan into space. I just want to see like a normal. Space flight. Let's do like for space shuttle launch. That's what I want. I want to see some freaking space shuttles launched, man. IMAX Space Shuttle Atlantis launch 4K Ultra HD. Heck yeah, dude. I'm here for it, and I'm all about it. It might get left. All right, was that the end of that video? Oh no, it was not. Is it just gonna show the launch again? Will you not already watch it? All right. I want to see some spacewalk stuff. Let's get NASA astronauts walk outside the ISS. So this is the International Space Station. This is from Universal Dope. We're about to check this shit out, bro. Just absolutely mind-blowing. You see how dark like the space looks? You know, you can't see stars or anything. It's just like pitch black. Could you imagine like I feel like you would feel like you were floating in the rafters of like an arena or an auditorium, you know, where everybody's doing everything down below and you're just like up there floating, like, I don't know, trying not to feel insignificant on a cosmic scale. There's that, and no sound, just infinite nothingness. I would totally go. I would go. I would want to wait until my son was at least 18, you know. I would want to see my son like graduate and like maybe get married, maybe have a kid or something. But if I had an opportunity or a chance to like go out to space, I totally would, man. answer the great question of what if, you know, like what else is out there. You just made it to your destination. Hell yeah, Starry. And then this is the dark side, because the sun's on the other side of the earth. So like, oh man, that would be even more terrifying. Like looking down at everything, and then like in the matter of like a couple hours, now you can't see anything down there. It's just a black sphere. Ah, man. It's so crazy. Imagine having a panic attack in one of those suits. No, I'm good on Earth. Zero gravity is a misnomer. You are falling as fast as you're traveling sideways, still being pulled by gravity. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Saibon. You've entered another wave of force. Like if we have gravity on Earth and like that's our centrifugal force from spinning or whatever, like once you get into outer space, you're just in the pull of something else. Something much greater and larger than the Earth. You love that this is a topic. I love everything that has to do with astronomy. Absolutely. Patiently waiting for July when the James Webb Space Telescope sends back its first color images. Ooh, that'll be amazing. This is a huge topic. Like, if we start getting into specific topics within space travel, like, we could do a bunch more episodes on this. This, I just wanted to do, like, a very, like, hey, this is where, you know, flight came from and how we commercialized it and weaponized it, and now we've got space flight. You know, the biggest piece of information that we've learned tonight that still will blow my mind is just how short of amount of time we went from, like, a bicycle plane to rocket fuel. You know what I mean? You're talking, like, 30, 35 years between that and just how fast the shit moves. Look at this. Look how complicated all of this, what they're doing, looks extremely complicated. Make sure that the one pipe is plugged into J109. You know what I mean? Theorize that time is the cause of gravity, and we fall towards the object that is the slowest time. As mass increases, time slows down. I believe it. I do believe that, Saibon. I believe that heavily, and here's why. They say that because of, like, bone density and bone mass, like, if you were to live in space or, like, live in that gravitational pull out there in space, you would age a lot slower. It obviously, like, it harms the astronauts to go out, spend so much time out in space and then come back down to Earth because all that extra pressure and stuff, like, their bones can't handle it as well as they used to be able to. But if you were to just stay in space, you would live, humans would live so much longer. Because gravity wouldn't be trying to kill you. Your body wouldn't stress and strain so hard. What is that? We got to make sure we got the SN4 strap needs to be on the NDAC. This blows my mind how quiet it is too. It's so quiet. Look at those clouds. Is that piece? Is this piece right here? That shit was just floating. That's not attached. Look at it. It's not attached to anything. That's literally just floating out there. So either they messed up and they weren't supposed to drop that, or they're just going to let it burn up on entry. Messed up thing. You wouldn't realize you were living longer. Everything else would just look like it was going faster. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you had a reference for comparison, if you were communicating with people down on Earth or on other planets or something, I mean, you would have a reference point. Time would seem like it was going faster but you could still relate to, okay, well, it's been so many 24-hour cycles. This is Monday, the 4th day of July or whatever. Could you cover how light years work at some point? Like how when we were looking at a planet that is X light years away, that we were looking at the planet as if it was X amount of years ago and not as it is right now. Oh, yeah, that'd be a really good one. Images and stuff. I think it's crazy that we can detect chemicals and stuff. Like that's how they're looking for life in other solar systems, is somehow because of the light particles, they're able to measure like the minerals and chemical compositions and stuff of these planets that are like light years away. That blows my mind too, dude. It's crazy. That's your Uber Eats. They delivering it from space now. I mean, Amazon's trying to step their game up. And it's crazy to think about, man. Like, Amazon is going to do some crazy ass shit in the next 10 years. Their warehouse, somebody comes into my store all the time and they work for Amazon, and they said working in the warehouse is like working on the Death Star. They said it's two stories tall, a mile long warehouse. So just imagine two floors that are a mile long of just robots and shit, like organizing a warehouse. It's crazy. You get off on all this weird science of impossibility. No, I love it. I love it. Some people wanted this to go towards like the aliens talk and stuff, and I'm all for it, but that is its own episode. That is its own episode. I feel like we wouldn't be able to cover enough of the stuff that I want to cover this time around if we did it mixed in with space flight. And after this, I'm gonna have you guys vote. As a matter of fact, for you new people here who've been hanging out with us tonight, we do have a Discord. We have a Discord that you can join. A lot of great, amazing people. It's a wonderful community if you'd like to join. We also, I don't even know if this is a command or not. Heyo, I don't know where that came from. I don't. Yeah, I don't remember sending that or typing that. So I'm going to have to finish changing my chat commands up. I will thank you right now for following me. I love you. I appreciate the support. I must have set that up like years ago. You never knew that about Amazon? Yeah, it's pretty wild. And just the robotics technology and stuff that they're doing now, because everything in the world's going automated. You know, we're gonna be teaching our kids to be software engineers and software programmers. Look at all them clouds, and cloudy ass Earth. Whew. Alright, that's the end of that video. I want to see what else we got out here. Well, let's see. Spacewalk NASA. Spacewalk to replace space station antenna. We can watch them do that. Top 5 amazing spacewalks. These are the top 5. Prepare to be amazed. Several segments are licensed under Creative Commons. So yeah, these are all Creative Commons and stuff. It's okay for us to be watching this right now. Yeah, let's watch this one. Let's watch the top 5 amazing spacewalks.
Hey guys, before this video starts, I just want to let you know we plan to upload the majority of our future top 5 videos on our new YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe to it by clicking the link.
I like this guy's voice. He sounds like Xavier Renegade Angel.
Top 5 amazing spacewalks.
Enjoy the top 5 amazing spacewalks.
It's great. I love it. Shout outs to these dudes. Canadarm 2 refurbishment October, does that say 2017? Damn, that camera quality. I do gotta say that in these spacewalk videos, they don't ever just pan the camera out to just look out away from the Earth to space. And I'm sure they do. It's just in the ones that I've been watching recently, they don't. They don't. I want to like fucking just point the camera out. I want to see what's going on out there. It's not great quality, but you see the Earth spinning a lot. The Earth is... This one's pretty crazy. Yeah, it looks like the Earth is moving pretty far. Oh, oh, oh god, there's a glove. I'm coming back down now. First spacewalk, March 19th, 1965. Oh, what? Oh, shit. Here's footage of the... How wild. How much do you think that glove cost? Oh, more than I'll see ever in my life. The Russian MERV suits? No. It was the other ones that we were looking at. Hold on. Let me see if I still got it pulled up. I don't know if I do or not. Astronaut Wikipedia. Let's find it. We already passed it again. Doo-doo. Did we miss a bunch of stuff? Age milestones, cosmonaut, astronaut corps. Ew, we were just talking about it. Spacewalks. Now just from title selection for those astronaut corps. We saw it. That's gonna drive me crazy. I should have took a note. I don't know where we were that I'm not seeing it now. For space flight. Let's go astronaut. Let's cosmonauts. Let's click on NASA. And see if NASA's got Sputnik crisis. Yeah, okay. I think we'll be able to find it here. The meatball returned to official use in 1992. There's the original logo was first dubbed the meatball. The first logo of NASA was called the Orlan spacesuit. I think it may have been the Orlan spacesuit. Let's just type in first astronauts, first people in space. Yeah, these guys. Ah, it was from the History Channel. That's why I couldn't find it. Okay, where's the picture? Project Mercury. Yeah, that's right. That's what it was. It was the Mercury team. But they had a cool name. What was their name? Project Mercury. We were just talking about it. Mercury Atlas 6, Mercury Redstone, about Project Mercury. So like it was like Mercury Team 6 or some shit. It was fucking great. Come on, I gotta see this. Project Mercury. Oh, come on. Project Mercury team. It was so metal. Mercury Project, Space Race. The Mercury 7. That's what it was. Kill Devil spacesuits probably is the Mercury 7. Okay. It does not. I'm pretty sure those were the Orlan spacesuits though. Yes. But yeah. Mercury Team 7. Okay. All right, we can go back to the spacewalk video. Sorry to disrupt the class. That's some... God, God, the camera is like nauseating to watch. That fast, it still took 108 minutes to make a revolution around the planet. I want to see what the propulsion looks like on the other side of this ship. Those look like VGA ports. Like, oh shit, I gotta hook up my second monitor. Look at that VGA port. You ain't fooling nobody. I know what that is. Dyson is a vacuum cleaner, yes, okay. I thought so. I felt confident in my answer. A Dyson sphere is a solar array built around the sun. Huh. Why would we build one? I guess as a source of energy, as like a living power generator to go inside a ship. I've seen Event Horizon. That shit does not end well. I think we are more than capable as a race to be able to harness some sort of like endless energy without harnessing like nuclear, like planetary devastating energy. You know what I mean? Like we can build enough solar panels to light up the world. You know what I mean? And give everybody power. We don't need atomic energy in everybody's pockets. Oh, more clouds, more clouds, more clouds. I kind of want to see some like inside some space stuff. We can talk about the Hindenburg. The first spacewalk, we already watched that. 5 mind-blowing facts about spacewalks. You guys want to be blown away by 5 mind-blowing facts? Let's do it. Let's do it. Give me them sweet facts. Hit me with them.
On May 11th, 2013, 2 ISS astronauts successfully completed a spacewalk to fix a coolant leak. Spacewalks, technically called extravehicular activity, or EVA, are the finest examples of human innovation and courage.
Okay,
Here are 5 incredible aspects about a spacewalk according to NASA. Number 5. You might get in trouble with cops for driving over 60 to 70 miles per hour. Now imagine going at 17,227 miles an hour. That's the average speed of the International Space Station when astronauts get out of their protective environment inside the space station to perform a spacewalk.
17,000 miles an hour. Jesus.
The temperatures that astronauts face during a spacewalk could range from 250 degrees Fahrenheit to minus 250 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on their position. What's the temperature like in your neck of the woods today? Number 3.
Yo, baby, you want to experience some extravehicular activity?
70 to 110 tools. Number 2. It takes about 45 minutes to put on a spacesuit, and before heading out, the astronauts breathe pure oxygen for more than an hour. By the way, putting on a spacesuit is called donning, and taking it off is called doffing.
Donning.
Number 1.
Doff your spacesuit. You're
James
fired.
S. Voss hold the current record at 8 hours, 56 minutes for the longest spacewalk. How do you like the idea of being out in space for almost 9 hours, traveling at thousands of miles per hour?
It sounds fucking awesome. You're fired. Am I fired? Oh, I'm trying to do a good job. Let's see what Karen Nyberg, she's the Expedition 36 crew member, how to wash your hair in space. I think I've actually seen this video before. It's pretty gross. Let's watch how she washes her hair. Wicca will do it.
And that is how I wash my hair in space on the International Space Station.
Well, the people who think all of it's fake, like, I don't see the point in them faking it because NASA literally gets less than 1% of her money that the government collects. Yeah, oh yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, work on a date. Hey baby, you want to go back to my place and doff these clothes? Oh, that's so smooth. With her hands, Bert. With her hands. I don't know, man.
What I like to do is start by just putting some
I
hot
think
water,
that people that
squirting it
claim
onto
that the shit
myself.
is fake don't have enough credibility in the academic world to make that decision.
Sometimes the water gets away from you, and you try and catch as much as you can.
If
work
the
the water
CGI Hollywood guys were like, oh shit,
to
this
the
looks
end
fake,
of my hair.
I could do this with my computer, then I'd be like,
And I take my no-rinse shampoo
probably skeptical.
and squirt it also on the scalp, just a little bit,
But like,
and rub it in.
yeah, how would you do
Again,
that? Those
kinda
water
working it up
beads
again.
are just like flying around.
Sometimes I'll actually take my comb to help work it all the way to the ends. And I like to take my towel while I have the shampoo in there and just kind of work it. Because without standing under running
I agree.
water,
Where did they just
you kinda
go?
need to use the towel a little bit to help get some
See,
of the dirt
where
out.
did they just go?
I
They
like to follow that
went
by a
somewhere
little more
away
water.
from where everybody watched it
It's
launch,
called
dude,
no-rinse
obviously.
shampoo, but I think it's best if you use a little water with it.
Yeah, see, like, any one of those little water droplets could get in somewhere in the ship that it's not supposed to be and, like, cause fatalities. This is scary.
Actually feels kind of squeaky clean right now.
And why would you go into
dry
space
part
with
of my
such
towel.
long hair,
We
dude?
used
Like,
towels for quite a while here,
plan ahead.
since we have limited supplies. We use them wisely.
I don't know, I probably
That's
wouldn't
pretty
cut my
good. And
hair.
now as my hair dries, as the water evaporates from my hair, it will
The hair
become
gunking shit up.
humidity in
Yeah,
the air,
that too.
And then our air conditioning system will collect that into condensate, and it won't be long. And our water
Oh,
processing
the air
system
conditioning
will turn that
system
into
collects the
drinking water.
humidity and collects the moisture. Okay, cool. So they have a
Yeah,
plan. They
I just do
recycle
one
the shit
final
that's
comb
floating
through,
around,
so there are
gets
no
recycled. Cool.
Snarls and snags.
See, science,
And
dude.
while it dries, I like to let it stay free. I don't put it back in a ponytail while it's drying. And that is how
I feel that, sister. I wouldn't. I don't put my hair in a ponytail when it's wet either. That just sounds like a bad idea. Cool. Thanks for the astronaut tips. From space in spectacular UHD. Scary but true space facts. Ugh, you want to hear some? Let's watch this. This sounds awesome. Let's watch some scary but true space facts. This is by Fact No Manel.
In
Fact No
space,
Manel.
no one can hear you scream. Or can they?
Oh, that's scary.
Sometimes the universe serves up some pretty horrifying scenarios. Lucky we're safe.
Wouldn't
here
know.
on
I have a
Earth.
bald haircut.
Right.
It's like the inside of a
Welcome to
rocket.
Fact
Inside a
Number.
rocket.
And
What's
we're
up, Lex?
showing you just how terrifying the universe
You know
can
what your
be
scalp feels
in
like after you pull your pony down
25
all day? Can you
scary
imagine
but
what it would feel
true
like when you
space
re-enter the
facts.
atmosphere? Oh god, it'd be so
25
heavy. You'd be
galactic
walking around
cannibalism.
like this. if you
Straight
had
out
long
of a
hair after
70s
coming back.
B-grade horror.
You'd be
It's
like,
not
"God, it's so
just
heavy."
people that eat
Space
each
smells
other.
like burnt meat.
There are many cases in the universe where a galaxy can
Wet hair and a
collide
ponytail
with
makes moldy
another
hair.
one
Ugh,
or
yeah.
multiple
You right.
galaxies. Research has found that larger
Spaghettification.
galaxies collide with smaller ones every 8 to 9 billion years. Our
just
universe is
missed
on
it.
track to collide with the Andromeda galaxy in about 4 billion years,
Shit.
almost certainly destroying
Call your
all
loved
life
ones.
forms in our galaxy.
Only got 4 billion
Just
years. That looks like
something to
boobs.
look forward to. 24. No sound in space. Contrary to what many Hollywood
Black hole
films
gonna make
may
you
have
spaghetti.
believe, there is no sound
Legit
in
never had
space.
that problem.
Due to there being no particles for sound to bounce off, space is completely silent. The only exception would be if you were in the middle of a fairly dense gas cloud. It's so quiet. If you were able to float through space unaffected by the radiation, extreme cold, and lack of oxygen,
Oh
the
shit.
silence would drive you mad.
That's what I was just saying. The
23
silence would
rogue
drive you
planets.
crazy.
Sometimes planets like to go rogue and
Because like you
escape
ever
the
sit in a
gravity
room
of
that's
their
got
parent
the
stars.
foam padding all over
This
the place.
doesn't
It's
sound
like
too
lower
scary
decibels
until you
and it's
learn that these planets
terrifying.
can be 12 times the size of Jupiter, rocketing through space at 30 million miles per hour. At some point, one of these planets may collide
Holy
with
shit,
Earth.
that's a
It
faster
goes without
meatball.
saying, It will be pretty catastrophic.
Lisa Nowak is a
when
crazy
tube
astronaut story.
loose
Ooh,
skin
we might look
falls
into that,
off in
Kaiser.
Space. This fact
They
may
say
scare
all
the germaphobes
the
of
space
world.
suits smell
It
like
turns
burnt
out,
meat and
after a
welding.
month in
Ew,
orbit,
that's gross.
chunks of
Stop
your
cussing in
feet
chat,
start
Kaiser.
falling
Damn it.
off. Calluses
Space smells like
and dead
raspberries. That's
skin
what I
just start
imagine.
floating off your foot, After
Got sounds from a
while,
black hole. That sounds
yeah,
terrifying. Is that
no
your
thanks.
anus?
21, the
This is
biggest
a good joke.
planet in the universe. Jupiter is the biggest planet in our solar system,
Yeah.
but is dwarfed by the size of the largest planet astronomers have found in the universe.
Oh.
The Dennis P planet is about
The Dennis
28.5
P
times
planet.
the mass of Jupiter. It's currently classified as a gas giant like our Jupiter, but many astronomers suggest it should be classified as a brown dwarf star because of its massive size. 20. The hottest and
Wow.
brightest supernova.
28
A
times the
supernova
size of
occurs when a star
Jupiter.
dies
That's
and
huge.
explodes, expelling an enormous amount of light, heat,
There's a
and
clone
radiation.
developed with NASA
The
to smell like
Assassin
space.
15
Is there
LH
really?
the hottest
It
and
smells
most
like burnt
luminous
meat.
supernova
welding.
astronomers have ever found. At current measurement, the explosion reached about 100 billion Kelvin. For comparison,
Wow.
Earth's temperature is about 288 Kelvin. It also shone at a brightness of 570 billion solar
luminosity.
about
Yeah.
twice as
I was
bright
going to
as
say the same
any
thing.
other of the supernovas discovered so far. 19. Floating space corpses. In the
Ugh.
early days of space travel, many animals, including cats, dogs, and a chimpanzee, were sent up to the great unknown. But some of these animals and some humans didn't make it back,
Yep.
joining the thousands of tons of space junk hurling around our planet.
Oh,
And if that's not creepy enough.
It's not.
Without oxygen, bodies don't decompose. So this means space is littered with floating, frozen
Perfectly
corpses.
preserved
18 white hole.
horses.
Theoretically,
Horses.
it
Wait,
is
corpses.
possible
What did
for
I
white
say? I
holes
said
to
horses.
exist in space.
You guys were
They're
talking
the
about
opposite
horses
of
earlier.
black holes, and that nothing can enter
Sheep,
into a
roosters,
white
and
hole
ducks,
from the
too.
outside. Everything,
They don't
including
want
light, can
astronauts
escape
surprised
from
by
them.
anything.
There are theories that every galaxy has
It's very
a supermassive
nice
black
smell
hole
with a
in its
lot of
center, and
complexity.
every
No,
supermassive
that's
black
awesome. It
hole
probably
spawns
helps keep
a
their
white hole.
brains like
17.
focused and off
What
of stuff
happens when
too.
you fall
That's
into
smart.
a black hole? We've all heard of black holes, but
That
what
was a
would
Matt
happen if
Damon
you were to
movie.
fall into one? There are only theories as to what would happen. One theory is that it may split your reality into two parts. In one part, you'll be spaghettified and killed immediately.
There you
In the
go.
other, you're unharmed. This is because time doesn't work the same near black holes as on Earth. Either way, I wouldn't try it if I were you. 16. The Big Crunch. It is theorized that opposite to the Big Bang, which started the universe, it may end with the Big Crunch. This theory suggests that the universe will start to shrink and collapse to its earliest state. The Big Rip theory suggests the universe won't stop expanding.
So
and at
like
one
pizza
point,
dough,
everything
like the
will be
universe
torn
keeps
apart at an
expanding
atomic
and then it's
level.
just gonna
Sounds
fold
like
in
fun.
on itself
15, the
and
dark
start
flow.
stretching and
1 minute
expanding
you're a
again for
galaxy
another billion
chilling
years.
At the edges of the universe.
That's
the next you are
nuts,
sucked
man.
into who knows where. A phenomenon called the dark flow keeps pulling chunks of galaxies into unknown places, and we don't know why. It's very reassuring. 14
Yeah.
unexpected meteors.
That's where Battle
In
World is,
2013,
obviously,
400
dummy.
people were injured after a meteorite exploded in Russia.
Space is going through
As it turns
puberty and
out,
is getting
meteors
black
can just
holes.
fall at any
Snap
moment
back
and
and
rain
be
down on Earth,
possibly
causing
dense,
massive
which will cause it to
destruction, and
explode
you might
again.
not know until it's too late. Sometimes the sky really is falling. 13. The moon will
Link in
leave
Discord
us.
general for anyone
Every
interested in
year,
the clone.
moon
I am.
gets
I
4
want to read up
centimeters
on that a
farther
little
away
bit.
From the Earth. This doesn't sound like a big deal, but it could have devastating effects in the distant future, implicating tides, water levels, and potentially slowing down the speed of Earth's rotation. 12. Venus is dangerous. While Mars is seen as somewhat
Kung
inhabitable
Fu
by humans,
Hustle. What's
one
up,
planet
brother?
we definitely
How you doing,
won't be
man?
visiting soon is Venus.
We're
As it
learning
turns
some
out, the
facts about
surface
Venus.
temperature is around 500 degrees Celsius. Its
'Cause Venus
atmospheric
rhymes with
pressure is
penis.
90 times that of
That's
Earth,
what I just learned.
And it's constantly raining
Earth's
down
rotation already
acid
allows
rain.
down every year.
So I don't think it will be a popular holiday destination once we get the technology to go there. The death of our solar system. We've looked at theories of how our universe will end. But what about our solar system? One day, when the sun's hydrogen is gone, it will expand into a red giant and consume our solar system, destroying it completely. Better pack that SPF 4 billion. 10. Space without a spacesuit. If you ventured out into space without a suit, you would last at most 15 seconds before losing consciousness from lack of oxygen. That's if you're lucky. If you don't expel all the air from your lungs, you will die within seconds from
Venus,
the
aka the
vacuum
Morning Star,
rupturing
aka
your lung.
Lucifer. Oof.
So, if you find yourself floating through the vastness of space without a spacesuit, I wouldn't hold my breath. 9. Kelt 9b.
Oh, what is Kelt 9b?
Is the hottest planet we have found outside our solar system.
Okay.
Its surface temperature is about 4,600 kelvins.
Damn.
Just shy of 5,800 Kelvin temperature of our sun.
So no life.
This planet gets its red-hot summers from
I got
its
distracted,
close
but
orbit to its
he
parent star,
mentioned the
Kelt
great
9.
attractor. Yeah, that's pretty
8.
scary. No, he
The
hasn't.
average
He hasn't.
temperature of space. Scientists have worked out that the net temperature of space is essentially zero. To be precise, it is around minus 270 degrees Celsius or minus 454 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh
That
my
comes out
God.
to 2.73 Kelvin, with the absolute zero or the coldest.
So yeah,
physical
those
temperature
movies where you
possible
see like
being
people's
0
limbs
Kelvin.
freeze
7.
off
The
in
night
space.
sky
That's
will get
real.
dark forever. Go outside at night and you'll find a sky full of stars most of the time. However, this may not always be the case, according to various scientists. In a matter of 1 trillion years from now, the sky at night will go totally black forever. 6. Even if there are
Wow.
aliens, we may never find them. With the trillions and trillions of stars in the universe, most of which contain planets, it's almost impossible that there aren't extraterrestrials out there somewhere. However,
Oh,
we
yeah,
haven't
no,
found
I
them
know.
yet, and we might never find them. This is because galaxies are moving away from each other, meaning without faster-than-light travel, intergalactic exploration may not be possible. 5. Solar superstorms.
Oh, we'll figure it out.
Solar
Andromeda will crash into our
superstorms,
galaxy
rising
before we have
loops
to
of
worry about no
electrified
stars. Yeah.
gas
Or the
reaching
sun will burn out.
100,000 kilometers high could wipe out Earth's communication satellites and disrupt aircraft technology.
We actually had a solar storm
We are
not
due
that
for one
long
soon,
ago
too,
that like
as
we
they
got
occur
grazed
once
by.
every 100 or 200 years, with the last one hitting Earth in 1859.
See.
Might want to get a Faraday cage for your cell phone, just in case. 4. Survival rate of space. Out of 430 people who have gone to space, 18 have never made it home.
Wow.
That is a pretty bad survival rate, making space
Yeah,
travel
it's
the
bad
most
survival rate,
dangerous
but that's
mode of
less people than I
transportation so
expected.
far.
Is that
Still,
counting the
space
Challenger
travel
mission?
is becoming much safer than it used to be. 3. Dark matter. We have only witnessed less than 5% of the matter the universe is made of. The other 95%
That's
being
kinda
dark
scary.
matter and dark energy that we cannot see or understand yet. So until we figure out what
Stranger
dark
Things
matter is
Season
all about,
5.
there is still so much to learn about the material makeup of the universe.
That is
2.
pretty crazy, though,
Rogue
that they can
black
tell
holes.
that we only know
If the
like
rogue
5% of the
planets
minerals and
didn't sound
matter
scary
in
enough,
the universe.
There are
That's pretty
rogue
scary.
black holes as well. In fact, astronomers have found such a Jupiter-sized black hole present in our galaxy. I wouldn't worry, though. It's only speeding through space at about 3 million miles per hour. 1.
Yeah.
Quasars. Quasars are some of the most powerful
All the
celestial
dogs to go to
objects we
space, none have
currently
made it
know
back.
of.
Damn, that's really
These
sad too,
celestial
Chibi.
objects are found at the center of many active galaxies and are the most powerful, energetic, and luminous objects we know of. One quasar emits more than 1,000 times the energy of our Milky Way.
Do. All right, guys. It is now 8:57 p.m. I'm kind of looking for somebody to raid over here. We'll look and see if anybody else is doing any sciencey type stuff. Let's see if anybody's doing anything. If not, I got somebody on the ready, but I would like to look and see real quick if I can find somebody new. I want to make a new friend. Make a new friend tonight. Hey, Sayabon with that 420. Hit me with that sweet 420. All right, I searched for space. Let's see who's on here. There's somebody named Space. NASA's on here. They're not live though, but I am following them. Dead Space categories, past videos, viewer discretion is advised. Space, Overwatch. Space travel. Let's try that. Space travel. Space traveling. No. Space Travel Studios. Live channels. Nope. I don't think there's anybody on here. I'm gonna do some research. I'm gonna try to find some new friends here soon. But until then, we're gonna raid Tacos the Casual after a nice little diddly on the guitar. Cyberborn action hero for the 420 bits. Loogie Tanuki, don't you worry, I enjoyed every bit. I want to thank you all for being here, hanging out with me tonight. It meant a lot to me. We learned some shit about spaceflight, about spaceflight, about spaceflight, and flying bicycle death machines and liquid nitrogen, using that combination to send rockets to the motherfucking end. Oh yeah, thanks so much. See you guys again next time so much. I actually probably should talk about next time because of my schedule. My third and final stream this week will be tomorrow. Again, what time? I don't know. I don't know yet. I'm going to play it by ear. Probably going to be playing some video games or something. Unless you guys just want me to just start doing this full time and just start doing educational stuff full time. And then I can just do video games like once a week or something. It's up to you guys. I would love to hear some banner. It makes me feel good as a creator to hear some feedback from the people that are hanging out with me. If you guys liked it, just drop me a line, tell me you liked it. If there's something else you want or a different topic you want covered, a little feedback helps a long way with keeping this dialogue with you guys going. But I love you guys and I appreciate everything. We're gonna rate into Tacos the Casual. Let me just double check real quick, make sure he's still on. He is on. He is playing some Elden Ring. What a great time. You really enjoyed this? Thank you, Peachy. I really enjoyed it too. I had a great time. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss tomorrow. That's fine, Sayabon. The next episode of Opto Explains It All probably won't be until next week. If I do start doing more of this, we're going to have to gradually get into it. This does take a whole lot of personality and everything to do this for 3 hours straight. And I love doing it, but I want to make sure that I don't overstress myself either. So I will talk to you guys as soon as you guys want to. You know, we're always in the Discord. We're always hanging out. And if you guys want to hang out while I play video games tomorrow, that'd be awesome too. Until the next time, we're going to end the stream. And I love you.